5. How are you doing, Leo? How depressing was that loss?
Oh my goodness. It truly takes me back to 16 years of misery, as I was telling you. And this is the first time the Kings have been prevalent in the last 16 years. And I'm so glad because I get to watch fun type of organized basketball. And I feel like when I watch the Raptors play, they really infuriate me because I feel like I'm at 24-hour fitness playing with a bunch of guys that I just want to play hero ball. And for me, it's very disappointing.
Now, you saw the halftime show?
Yes. Oh my God. I texted you. I was like, bro, this is the Raptors in a nutshell. The
There's a
problem
bunch
is
of
those guys are
kids.
professionals, but these kids don't get paid millions.
These kids are emulating what they're seeing on the court, and they're doing a pretty remarkable job of it. So, look, coming into this game, I thought it could go either way, right? The stats, in terms of Memphis winning, it wasn't great. I mean, Ja has struggled historically against the Raptors. I made a community post about it. Dylan Brooks has been average, but tonight we made him look really good. Memphis is not a good road team. This is, I get it. I see the names, I see the roster, but there was one thing that really worried me tonight, which was the paint, the
Mhm.
physicality, Steven Adams, intelligence, depth. Well, I guess that's more than one thing that worried me.
Right.
And more importantly than anything, I think I was worried about would the Raptors be able to exploit the advantages? And there was a stretch in this game where they really spread it out, and it seemed like things started to click for them. And I texted you and I said, please, God, don't bring Siakam back into the game.
Indeed.
And within 12 seconds, Siakam and OG Anunoby get up. Doughton goes to the bench, and it just ends. It just ends. You just kill it right there. That momentum. Granted, I mean, there's a very good chance the Memphis Grizzlies would have figured out what they were doing,
Right.
but the intelligence with Scottie and Doughton on the court and how they were manipulating the defense, Gary Trent Jr. and Malachi Flynn, that almost felt like a very, very, very poor man's Golden State Warriors out there for just 3 minutes. And I got to see a glimmer of hope of what this team could play like if they just got over themselves. Saw a lot of ill-advised shots tonight. It's hard to
Hmm.
peg the blame on any one person and just chalk it
Right.
up to Raptors weren't talented enough. So in this show, what we're going to do is something really cool. Leo and we're going to talk through 7 trade ideas that I just
Hmm.
randomly pulled up. They are very wild. There's no Miles Turner, Gary Trent Jr. plus picks, stuff.
Yeah.
There's no Jakob Pertl. It's
They're
it's out
wild.
there. It's crazy stuff. But I think this might be a really fun exercise and maybe a little bit of a cathartic exercise for Raptor fans who are very frustrated with the product on the court right now. And this was sort of a promise to Raptor fans that if we lost this game, I would do a trade show with you. But also towards the second hour of this, after we get through some call-ins, we'd like to hopefully, if NBA.com updates them, we'll look at some breakdown, some film breakdown, as to some of you out there who watched Leo and my last breakdown show. It got really fun as we dissected the play live with all of
Right.
you, and yeah, so that we'll do at the towards the second hour. So to those of you who would like to call in, we're happy to take your comments and call-ins. The link is in the description. I'll certainly put it in the comments in a few minutes. But right now, we'll just look at what happened for the Raptors. And I'm going to share your screen, and hopefully we can look up the box score and just get an idea. So tell me, what do you think when you're looking through this?
Can you see my shot chart right now?
I can, yeah. If you could zoom
Okay.
it in, I think
Okay.
those on mobile phone would really appreciate it. Yep, awesome.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. So as you guys can see, there's a lot of misses in the paint. And what's cool about this is that if you hover over it, it'll tell you who missed them. So here, for example, Gary Trent misses driving floating jump shot. Scottie Barnes misses a 9-foot 2 point shot. Pascal Siakam misses an 8-foot 2 point shot. What I would love to see is if they could add like the timestamp of when they missed it. That way, it gives us a little bit more context of how, some shots are obviously more important than other shots depending on the time of the game. But towards the end of the game, like you said, when they brought back Siakam and they brought back OG, I was like, ah, shoot, he's in the play hero ball. I already know. And that's exactly what happened out here playing football. and just running into people expecting a call and not getting the call, rightfully so. I wouldn't call that either, because a defender has a right to be somewhere.
Yep.
And if you don't make a move as an offensive player, either crisscross, come back, try to get the guy on your hip a little bit. If he's going to run into the guy, as a referee, why would I, make that call regardless of who you are? Obviously, John Morant won't get those little touch fouls as we saw today, but yeah, Pascal literally has no grace when he runs into somebody. It just looks awful to me, and it's infuriating because his teammates that busted their butt to either get a stop defensively are now like, all right, let's go back, because we know what he's gonna do. Like, he's gonna run into somebody and try and draw a foul. Like, that's not how I like to enjoy basketball.
I agree. And I mean, look, to his credit, to Pascal's credit, he did pass to a lot of teammates. They missed a lot of shots, right? Wancho, second straight night, not really providing what he's there for. The irony of ironies for Raptor fans, of course, is that he replaces Yuta Watanabe, the last remaining player in the NBA still shooting above 30, above 50% from three. Kevin Durant says his fundamentals are perfect. And if you go back to the summer, I was very upset that we let Yuta go. I just liked him as a character guy. I never saw this type of explosion coming from him, but man, that guy would be hella useful right now. But I have to say, would he be? Would he be in this offense? Would he be found the
I
way
don't know,
that, and it's like, there's a reason why Joe Harris, Seth Curry, guys like that are doing so well in Brooklyn's offense. And I mean, this is not, it's all on Fred, it's all on Pascal, it's all on Scottie. Scottie Barnes did not start out this game very well at all, right? Had a lot of issues containing the paint, but man, he worked his ass off during this game. Like, he really did. Like, the way he sprinted, the way he pushed the pace, the way he got on the offensive glass to do battle with those monsters inside. And with the way Memphis was playing, I mean, every Raptor is going to be so sore after this game. It was just incredible how much effort just goes into producing one basket for this team. And, Siakam tried to get off the ball early, get Malachi a couple of shots, just bricked them, right? Try to get Scottie a couple of, well, he didn't get them, but Scottie tried to get himself a couple of, easy paint touches. Just didn't have the touch early on.
He took 1 3, and this is the one that I'm hovering over, and this is one he missed. So,
I mean, yeah, look, he's clearly hesitant. There was a particular play where I'm sure we won't get into it in the film highlights, but there was a particular play where Scottie is literally left unguarded. It's almost like he picks up his dribble and every single player, including his own team, runs away from him. And he's about, I want to say 18 to 20 feet away from the basket, just above the free throw line. And he's looking around like, who do I pass to? Who do I pass to? And it's like, dude, you can't do that. You got to take that shot. I don't care if you shoot 3 for 30. You got to take that shot for the defense to respect your passing. Tonight, I think Scottie Barnes could have had a much better game to help this team. I certainly think Pascal Siakam, can't do it alone. I have an issue with the way this team plays around him, obviously. It's not entirely on him, though. It
No, it's
is an
not.
extremely ugly brand of basketball, though. You'll see an entire side clear out as he goes one-on-one against Dillon Brooks. And Dillon Brooks is a decent defender, like a very decent defender.
Very.
And Scottie, trying to do it against Jaren Jackson. Well, he's a little bit more than a decent defender, right? He's a godly defender. And to just have matchups like this for the Raptors, I think this was the biggest concern going in. It's how are you going to fare when the paint shuts down and you have a bunch of guys on the court who really can't shoot. And it's just it's incredible. So anyway, let's get to your call-ins. I don't currently see anyone in the queue, but I'm gonna put the link.
Yeah,
in
Dillon
the...
Brooks is an 87 percentile on-ball perimeter defender, so an A- on the B-ball breakdown index grades. He's solid. I mean, he gets into you, he frustrates you, and we saw that from him tonight. 25 points. Pascal Siakam, as you said, and it's important to note this. Like, Pascal is highlighted as the guy. He's featured as the guy in his offense. So partially it's his fault for not, I guess, developing a more graceful one-on-one game if he's going to get these opportunities.
Yep.
The other part is the coaching staff allowing this to happen every single game. Running empty side pick and rolls to where it gets them literally
Hmm.
with the clear side to attack the basket. And sometimes you have to do more than just running into a player. Like, you got to get into your bag a little bit and create that separation to then get a guy on your hip and then draw that foul. But yes, a lot of it has to do with just the offensive system. I feel like Nick Nurse, and I've said this on multiple shows already, he hasn't adapted to his personnel. Like, and to me, that's infuriating because I know he's a good coach. One can say he's a great coach, but
Hmm.
to me, he hasn't adapted.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Okay, we're gonna pull off the screen for a second. Do we have any? Do we want to dig into the box score at all?
Yeah,
Anything really stick out to you? I think Ja Morant just had a
yeah.
epic game, and I think it's just, if you compare how Ja Morant gets his offense. I mean, he moved off the ball a lot. He made himself very unpredictable. Obviously, superstars know what to expect coming into Toronto, right? And how predictable their offense would have been to guard for us if they just kept Ja dribbling the ball like we do
Hmm.
Siakam. So they get him off the ball, they allow for a breakdown on the offside, and then they have Ja cutting backdoor, Ja spotting up for a three. And yeah, he's not a great 3-point shooter either, but man, the way that guy gaps into the paint, breaks down your defense off into secondary action, like he's just an incredible player, and kudos to him for doing whatever his team needed because his team didn't need 50 points from him tonight at all. They didn't
Hmm.
need that type of performance. Coming up, we got FA and we got Brando. Just a reminder to those of you tuning in right now that this is going to be a trade show as well. Towards maybe in 20 minutes, we're going to look at 7 trades. That should be really fun. And we are going to hopefully do a film breakdown of what I think good offense looked like for the Raptors tonight and what I think maybe not so good offense looked like as well, towards the second hour. So right now we're gonna have FA come on, and then we've got Brando after that. FA, North Carolina, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
We're doing
You're
well.
good, brother.
Yeah, another game with the Raptors. I think I'm close to one more. After tomorrow's game, I'll decide if we should tank or just ride the wave because this team cannot beat anybody on the playoffs, right? You see, they didn't come with any energy, and they need somebody in the center. This 6-9 rotation is not working. And obviously, like you guys said, Scottie did not start the game really well. And it's kind of becoming a trend with Scottie, right? Once he doesn't score in the first, like, 3 minutes, then he just starts coasting. Then Pascal starts trying to do everything by himself trying to go against 4 or 5 players. And
Hmm. What do you
nobody
think
can.
was gonna happen tonight? Did you have hope? Did you expect that we might win, or were you like doom and gloom? This is over. Tank the season. What's
I,
Wembanyama doing right now?
I'm not. I'm thinking of some. I'm not even thinking of Wimby. I'm thinking of Scoot, right, the other point guard. But I think I'm at the stage where I think it's best to just, like, if they can do any tangible trade, to just pack on the season because. But they're too good. They have Pascal, they have OG, they have Scotty. They're too good to tank. So how do you really tank with these players? And also, like, later part of the game when Pascal and OG were on the bench, and you could see how the ball was moving. Right, those guys, they were playing with energy. And I was talking to my brother. I was like, "Oh, don't bring Pascal and OG back." And they brought Pascal and OG back, and the game just
Yeah.
went downhill.
I mean, I think OG could sort of fit into the style that they were playing, maybe even add to it. For Boucher, I think they can kind of do a lot of the same stuff. I think you have a little bit more spacing with OG, but a lot of the same defensive energy. But I'm a little bit reluctant to be super critical of Siakam because of the offensive load that he's having to carry for this team and the beating that he's taking and whatever. But man, have you noticed the defense since he came back?
Yeah, I'm not.
It's really an issue. And I mean, like,
Mhm.
it's just I mean, look, I'm trying to get past these low light films. I'm trying to get past creating these low light films because I think that they're doing more harm than good. And obviously, you know where I stand on some of these players, and if I keep creating these low light films and other teams watch them, it's gonna make these players look hella hard to trade. But
Yeah.
so I'm not really doing anyone any good. I'm just kind of
Please,
like,
please, please don't. Don't.
yeah. But in all honesty, like there were plays tonight, like there was a single possession where Siakam gets hooked on a screen and then just doesn't recover. He basically uses that possession to rest on Steven Adams, who set the screen, and then just doesn't get out to the shooter. And there's a couple of plays tonight where it's just like, it's so obvious that the communication on this team is so bad, especially on screen navigation. Everyone's struggling with screen navigation on this team.
I think
And
it's bad because they're so used to ISOs and nobody even expects the ball anymore. I think there was twice where Scottie was on the bench, right? Pascal was driving and it was wide open and Pascal take it. I don't want to be critical of Pascal. I think it's also part coaching too, right? Like, what are they even running? Nick Nurse is running the same play for the last 3 years. Like, come on, you gotta evolve. And the defensive coach that is known for, they're not really playing defensive. And you can see that OG's defense in the last 2 games, right, is kind of trending downwards because the guy is tired. He can't be doing everything by himself.
100%.
but I think defense works on a string, man. Anyone who tries to spot out, like you can go and look at the better defensive teams in the league. Like Milwaukee is a pretty good defensive team, right? It's not difficult to say that most of their players are going to be plus defenders, but there's a reason for that because those plus defenders work on a string. And they're communicating and they have good chemistry and they generally like each other. And when that happens, you play a certain way. And when you're playing with guys that maybe you're not vibing with super hard and you maybe don't trust as much, you're going to play a completely different way. And that comes down to recovery. That comes down to, how you react to being missed on an open three. Like I saw a lot of hands up flailing. There was a particular time when Scottie gets missed. He has jaw sealed in the post and Gary just looks him off and then Siakam looks him off. And it's just like, okay, so he reacts to that pretty okay. Then there's a particular play where OG is in transition and I think he tries to do a little bit too much and Gary's spotting up and he's like, what are you doing? And you catch these little things and you're just like, man, if you've ever hooped and you really vibe with the dude, you just go up, shake hands, be like, next time. You don't do that. The extra
And
demonstrative shit. Pardon?
Yeah, back to Scotty. I think he needs to go harder on the rim, right? Like Scotty can be taking one. He's too talented to be taking one free throw in a game. Like all those layups, trying to go angle, trying to go glass, just go straight to the
Yeah,
rim
take some lessons from Siakam. Invite that contact. Scotty
invite the
played
contact
Scotty played
or
football when he
Zion.
was younger.
Yeah,
So he
or
should.
Zion. Yeah, like even the pass where they poked inside, right? He was right by the rim, but he already made up his mind that he's going to pass the ball to OG on the right side. Like just go straight. Like
You know
it's gonna
what?
be far.
It's increasingly getting to a point where I think, as much as I would agree with anyone who says Scotty's had a disappointing season thus far, right? I will tell you that this was not a good game for him, and yet you look down the box score and it's like, oh, that's a that's a very good game for
Yeah, but
Franz Wagner
that
or.
was later when the game was like we were down
Yeah.
20
But in
sides.
fairness, his ascension moved the box score a lot. It wasn't that trade to, give to, trade to. No, when he started going, the team started going. He crashed in the offensive glass, setting
That
those
is
picks.
but
They
if you
cut
could
the lead.
start that at the beginning, but you don't
Yeah.
have to wait. Like you have to be able to
I
read
agree.
the game, right? Like let me take over this game because nobody's doing anything. He needs to have that quote unquote mama mentality. Like you know what, I'm gonna get my basket. I don't care. And
No,
that's what
I agree with you. He could definitely have hunted a shot. Anyways, man, thanks a lot for calling in. As always, really
Appreciate
appreciate
you,
you.
All
Yeah,
right, thanks. I'll be on the background to just listening. Thanks, guys.
thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
Feel free to chime in with your comments on the trades when they come up because they're going to be pretty spicy. Spicy trades. That's my hint. All right.
Pun intended,
See ya.
huh?
No pun
All right,
intended.
thanks.
See you,
Oh
man.
man. I pulled up all the film, so we already have them
Sweet.
up,
Okay.
queued up, and
We're,
ready
we're
to
gonna
go.
we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that right after we get to the trades. So to anyone just tuning in right now, I know people are buzzing in and out. We got about 165 people here, so we're gonna get right to a couple more calls. We're gonna see some reactions. I'm gonna wax poetic for 2 minutes about Jeff Doughton. I love this guy. I was watching the game with my girlfriend. And I was like, Jeff Doughton's in. She thought like the world had ended. She's like, did they win? I'm like, no, I won because Jeff Doughton Jr.
You
just
told
entered
me
the
that
game.
too, and I was like, oh,
I,
I was just like your girlfriend. I was like, okay.
Leo's like, I didn't know we feel about Jeff Doughton Jr. that way. Yes, we do. You know what? Start free Jeff Doughton Jr. Camp, because the fact that this guy's not playing is a criminal thing. Anyways, next up we got Brandon. Then we're gonna get Ian on. Brando, first time caller, man. How you doing?
What's up, bro?
I'm doing good, guys. First time caller. You guys are doing good work. I just wanted to touch on just some serious issues that I have from a coaching perspective with this team, because I feel like when Nick Nurse brought in Gleason, right, to run this offense, it was supposed to have some quick motion, a lot of passing, a lot of motion, a lot of screening to search for those mismatches. And I find that for some odd, like, there's no identity when it comes to this offense at all, right? And there's no flow to it other than, okay, one guy goes one-on-one and then he is either going to make the basket or he's going to miss it.
Yep.
Right? So
I mean, you can isolate, but like do something else with your other dudes. Like pull up, come, cut across the lane, make it unpredictable so often. And it's like sometimes when they do it, right, you're just like, oh, never mind, don't do it, because now you just dragged your guy right in the lane, in the guy's way, and it's like bumper cars. And I'm like, my God, like I can't believe this. Like there are AAU teams that play with more structure, more fluidity, and more movement than this.
Exactly.
How is this an NBA team? Like that's the frustrating part, because the roster as constructed, people are very quick to say, oh, we don't have a center, we don't have this, we don't have that. I mean, they just played Santi Aldama, and I guarantee you, if that Santi Aldama was on this team, like he probably wouldn't be playing, or something.
Yeah.
Like it's just like players look so much worse than they are,
and I
other
think
than
that's
maybe
why,
two players.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of times you see the hesitation and confusion from Scottie Barnes, because now he's put in a situation. He's like, oh, what's the next action? Where am I looking at? Where's everybody? Oh man, there's 4 seconds left. Got to make a move, right?
Yep.
And there's no steady flow or consistency to that, and you see sometimes with Gary Trent, like he'll just go into a motion, and everyone's like, there's a couple of times I saw Flynn like holding the ball like he's ready to shoot a three, and I'm like, pass it, he's open, and he'll hit or not hit the shot, but it's just from
this
a
is Gary
basketball
Trent all the time.
Yeah,
Give me the ball.
it's
just
Dude,
it's
if you
just
know how to
very-
play basketball, playing in the system would
Yeah.
drive you mental. Like you would develop a drinking problem at home if you played in this offense, because and you saw it. Like, I don't mean to keep harping on that stretch in the early fourth quarter, but they finally played right. I don't give a shit if the shots are going in or not. There's a reason those shots were going in, and the lead started to get cut, and it wasn't just because Memphis was playing a lot of their bench. The Raptors were playing a lot of their bench too. They were playing a G League two-way contract guy in Jeff Doughton Jr., which I think is they
love him.
need to convert. I love him too. And they're playing Malachi Flynn, so they're playing small, and they're pushing up on defense. But man, every pass, give or take a couple, made total sense. The spacing made sense. The motion made sense. And suddenly, Memphis doesn't know if it's going to be Scottie under the basket or Flynn popping up for three or Gary Trent Jr. popping up for mid-range. And it's like, it's disorienting. But if you just clear out everybody and you just go, okay, well, OG, you're going to drive from the corner. So, oh, by the way, like baseline is also, sideline is also a defender there. And we're just going to funnel you into either poking out of bounds or throwing some crazy pass. Like, he becomes so easy to guard. It's almost like if I found out, like if I got to be a fly on the wall in one of these coaching meetings, because people always talk like, oh, wow, the casual public would just never understand what these coaches are trying to do. And it's like, bro, I watch the film, I study it, and I know basketball, and I do know what they're trying to do. It's just they're not doing it. And it's just like, and there's a better way to do what they're trying to do. Have you coached?
No, I don't. I have friends who coach. Actually, I have a friend who actually is on the coaching staff for the Raptors, right? I don't want to call out any names, but like, it's just a situation where I see and I'm just like, this is horrible basketball, right? And then I'm thinking to myself, okay, what's the difference between what's happening now and what happened last year, right? And I think the
Which
key
part of last
things
year,
is offensive rebounds and the defensive intensity, because they weren't making a lot of shots last year. right? They weren't like this top high flowing offense last year. They just scrapped really, really hard, right?
Right.
So even though they didn't have like that true center, like everyone was grabbing, going for that offensive glass. Everybody, because everyone's 6'9", right?
Right.
So you switch. You don't have to like do a hard double team. Stay in
Right.
front of your guy. The shot goes up. Everyone goes and gets it. And whoever got the rebound would then run. Like they would take that ball and go, right?
Mhm.
And then they got a lot of points in transition that way, right?
Yeah.
So, but this year, like, how many guys do you really see flying to the other than Chris Boucher from time to time? How many other guys do you see flying for the offensive rebound?
Well,
Nobody.
Scottie had 7 tonight. In fairness.
Oh yeah,
right?
Scottie too. I'm obviously like I'm a I love Scottie, and I feel bad for the kid because I think that if he was put in a better situation where it's like, okay, you have Baines guarding you, who's what? I mean, at most, I think 6'1".
He's
right?
6'5". He's 6'5", but he looks short. He looks shorter because he has T-Rex arms.
so
He's
muscular.
6'4", 6'4" wingspan.
Right.
Someone
but I mean, like,
photoshopped
Norman
tiny
Powell
arms on him.
size. Yeah, Norman Powell size, right? Like
Powell's 6'2". Yeah. I get what you're saying. Wingspan matters, and Bain is not a good defender. I get it.
But you put Barnes in the post, right?
Yep.
Let them invite that double team over, right?
Yeah.
And then just move the ball, right? Just keep moving that ball and have other people moving. But it's too much one-on-one, and I just
it's weird because like here's the thing, right? Those shots that they were taking in the fourth quarter to a novice, they look like the same shots they were missing in the first quarter, but they're not. They're not the same. They're coming from different places. They're coming when the ball has moved around. That reversal, that ball reversal, I was like, oh, how long have I been waiting for that? Even in this first stint, I think when he came into the game in the first quarter or second quarter, Jeffed out, and he just fires that like super automatic pass to Boucher, and he finally hits a 3. And I was like, man, he's open. That was right in his shooting pocket. It was super fast. It wasn't predictable that he was going to do that because he looked him off a little bit. And I'm like, you need more guys to do things like that in order to make shots, because it's very simple for a fan who picks up the newspaper tomorrow, or if people don't read newspapers anymore, and I'm just dating myself here, open up ESPN.com and, they're just like, oh man, the Raptors need a 3-point shooter. And it's like, bro, like these are professional athletes. Watch them in an open gym and they can hit these shots all day with their eyes closed. It's not about just needing 3-point shooters. Yes, I'm sure the Otto Porter would probably be helping a lot. And, but it's just like this offense produces these extremely congested shots. And it's like the paint is, it's like I have never seen a team quite, other than the Raptors opponents, almost shut down the 3-point line and shut down the paint all at the same time. It just consistently feels like they're gapping somehow in the middle, and there's somewhere between there. So even like when OG gets the ball, Steven Adams is like 5 feet behind. He's not pressing up on him, right? No. But then on the other side, if Steven Adams gets the ball, he can't shoot threes. You're pressing up on him at the 3-point line. I'm like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Like, what are you doing? My God. So I just think that, I feel terrible for the players who play the right way. And there are a few of them on this team. OG, I think, plays the right way. He's trying to blend into an offense that doesn't necessarily work that way. Jeff Doughton, right? And
he needs to get some
Scottie
more
Barnes.
playing time, man.
He
defensively,
really does.
Like from a defensive standpoint, when I was seeing the way he was just setting up the guys, I was just like, wow, like
how many deflections did he get? Like it was like every time a pass was thrown around him, he had a deflection. It's like, my God, this guy needs to be. I'm not gonna overreact to like this, but the Detroit game and this game, that's okay. That's a pretty bad team, but now you're playing a pretty good team, and this is Ja Morant, and he contained him pretty much as well as I've seen any player do this year. And it's like, you got this, and you're giving him DMPCDs as you roll out Fred VanVleet to gimp around the court. And it's like, if Fred VanVleet is hurt, like if this is, as I said on the last show, this is just a progression of what happened last year. It was very much predictable. He is an undersized guard. I would like to see
Isaiah Thomas. He's an Isaiah Thomas. I've been saying it for a long time, and I don't think. Yeah. I think people are like because of from a loyalty perspective, they're trying to hold on to this guy's or to an organization, to our organization. And I get
Yeah.
it because he's a great guy, right?
Yeah.
But I see the warning signs here, right?
Oh, the warning
And
signs are huge. He's
yeah,
like his numbers like are straight up like a horror show. Like his box plus minus. Like I wrote this post about it like just yesterday. It was like lowest. It was his. So it's not like he's adjusting his usage and his shot attempts.
yeah.
He's still third highest for his career on those. But his box plus minus is like the lowest it's been in 4 years. His defensive box plus minus is the lowest it's ever been in his career. It's at a 0. When's the last time you saw that from Fred VanVleet, a very positive defender for most of his career? But it's just like there is I want to make a video about this because I wrote the entire script last night. I was feeling really inspired, and I compare it, and I'm just gonna give everyone listening a little teaser of it. It's like comparing. I like to compare players to cars, right? Like in a lot of ways, some cars, they're built for distance. Some cars are built for speed, right? Some cars are built for a lot of contact. They're built for like, taking those nicks and bruises. But when it just comes down to physics, you are an undersized player. No matter how gifted an athlete you are, Allen Iverson, Kyle Lowry, both very gifted athletes, albeit very different types of athletes. You take that beating over and over again, but every time these guys go into the paint, that's 190 to 210 pounds colliding with chiseled muscle 260, 270. And every bump hurts the player who's smaller more. And it's just like you keep crashing. And it's like, what would happen to a Toyota Prius if you just kept knocking it up into an 18-wheeler over and over and over every single night? I mean, you could take some time off, you could repair, you can change this and change that, but at some point it just breaks down. It's not built for that. And
So
I hate to say it, but undersized players do face this very unique challenge. And in a lot of ways, Fred VanVleet was supposed to be over that because, he was supposed to be more of the archetype of like a Trae Young or a Steph Curry, granted, not quite to that prolific level, because he was just heady. He was smart. He could make up for a lot of the diminished athleticism with his mind. But what we're finding out is there is a critical like limit to how much athleticism you can make up for before you just can't get space anymore.
So what's stopping him from being kind of like a Chris Paul type, where it's like, okay, I'm not athletic as I
Nowhere
used to
near
be.
the IQ.
Number one, nowhere near the IQ. Number two,
And the
nowhere near the
passing.
athlete. You remember Chris Paul at,
Oh, yeah,
at,
yeah,
yeah.
at Wake Forest?
Yeah.
You remember those dunks?
I remember him dunking when he dunked on Dwight Howard.
Yes. Like
Even with
Chris
his Hornet
Paul.
days,
Yeah,
he was
Chris
really
Paul.
athletic.
Like I remember for years, I would always wonder when it would change. If you looked up Chris Paul's similarity score on Basketball Reference, the number one match was Michael Jordan for like 7 years in a row. The career that this guy's had has been somewhat tainted by playoff failures and very ill-timed injuries, but the level of player Chris Paul is, it should be definitively in the conversation for top 35 players of all time. I know he doesn't have the rings, and he probably doesn't, he doesn't have that MVP. And, I could argue he probably should have one at some point.
Real ball players know Chris Paul's God. He's a point guard. So.
He's for sure he is. Yeah. And I mean, I could take an issue with all his politics and all the, what kind of teammate is he and what kind of person is he and all that stuff and all the players union ownership, all that crap. But that's all off the floor. On the court, he is God. Like he is like the closest thing to like, they used to say basketball Jesus, like Michael Jordan, basketball Jesus, Chris Paul for like, he's a point guard Jesus, like whatever that means, So he's just so good. The mid-range pull-up for Chris Paul, he can still pick up his spots. I just think like there's an athleticism with him, a quickness, a burst, an awareness and IQ, and also the passing. My God, if Chris Paul had ever encountered a Mike D'Antoni system, I mean, you would have seen like 15 assists per game or some shit like that. Like it would have been crazy. He's never really played like that, Lob City notwithstanding. But yeah, he's on a different tier. Fred VanVleet, I think the closest, and I mean, every time I think about comparables for Fred VanVleet, whether it be Kemba Walker, whether it be whoever, Isaiah Thomas, Allen Iverson, I'm like, my God, like Kyle Lowry. I'm like, well, first of all, he was never anywhere near as good as these guys in the first place.
No.
Isaiah Thomas.
Kemba was really good.
Kemba was
Kemba
really,
was really
good.
good.
This is we're talking about multiple time All-Stars. I mean, Kemba Walker, you know, granted his first season in Boston was a train wreck from an injury standpoint. I think he missed like 30 games, but Kemba Walker was still like a 4+ box plus minus in his first year in Boston. Like Charlotte, they got out before the train fell off the tracks, but they didn't get out exactly when the train fell off the tracks. It was a year early, and he still gave Boston one very, very positive season from an analytics standpoint. But then after that, it was just a wash. Like he couldn't do it, and the injuries caught up with him. But I'm reminded, man, like if you watch Kemba Walker in his prime, and granted, he played sort of in a small market, so maybe a lot of people were not watching Kemba Walker in his prime, and that's a shame because he was a hell of a player, best player in in that franchise's history for sure. And like Fred VanVleet has never held a candle to that. Like, I mean, with Fred VanVleet, we're talking like, forget how he talks about himself. Like for that is just complete horseshit. But we are talking about a guy who has basically functioned as a significantly above average point guard in the NBA, point guard starter in the NBA for like a year, maybe half a year, which was last year.
Yeah.
The rest of it is just full of 37, 36% shooting seasons with very solid defense. Like I'm not talking Patty Mills. I don't want to disrespect the guy, but it's closer to Patty Mills than Chris Paul. I'll tell you that. So
it's actually not a bad comp.
I
thought about that. That's actually
and Patty Mills is one of my favorite players.
Yeah,
but
I love Patty Mills.
Patty Mills does not talk about himself like he's Dame Lillard, and he does not demand contracts like he's Dame Lillard. Does not walk into, and he's a very different type of leader. So yeah, like I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's funny talking about Fred VanVleet for 10 minutes in a game he didn't even play. Maybe that's just hating on the guy. But anyways, Brando, you got some final takeaways? Any
no,
final
I
thoughts?
just you know what, just keep doing your show. I've been listening to a lot of your videos and stuff like that, and I appreciate the authenticity from both of you guys, and I can just continue to watch and listen.
Thanks a lot, Brando.
Thanks, Brando. I think one quick point about Brando and you too, Rob. I agree that the Raptors played well in the right way when they had like quote unquote like the G Leaguers in. But I think one thing too that we got to know and be genuine about is it kind of caught the Grizzlies off guard a little bit. They were like, "Oh, this is different." But once they figured it out and they adjusted, it was only a matter of time. Like even if they would have stayed on the floor, they weren't going to win the game. Like from that perspective.
I think what the Raptors were doing, right, from not to quote Ian Malcolm here, but like it was very chaotic, right?
Exactly.
It was a lot of chaos, right? And in the best possible way. It was a very unpredictable offense. They were sending two guys to the rim every single time. Boucher and Barnes were killing them. Yeah, if they bring back Adams and Jaren Jackson and maybe it all ends. But to me, it's like when you got a run like that going, allow the other team to do something about it. Don't prematurely cut your own engine, right? Next up, we got Ian. Then we got SGE. Then we got Samuel. And then, sorry to say, we're gonna cut the comments. We're gonna cut the calls there, and we're gonna go into the trades, and then we'll go into some film sessions. So, Ian, what's going on, man?
How you boys doing?
We're good.
What's up, bro?
I'll keep it quick because I bet a lot of people want to get to the trade stuff after that game.
I do.
Me too.
You know, the season's not going well when you can literally smash the over with a blindfold on basically take any player on Memphis on a modest parlay, and you're probably going to end up winning.
Oh my God! Don't remind me, man. Like I know you were the person who donated $10 last time because you bet, right?
Yeah,
buddy, I don't want to turn like your audience into like degenerate gamblers like myself. That's not my goal here. I really just want to.
Three of us are degenerate gamblers.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm new to sports betting. I got to be honest, but someone told me you need to start leveraging your basketball IQ into bets, and I honestly I smashed Memphis. I'm the Memphis Pacers, Memphis Celtics, Memphis Mavs. I don't know how that one's working out because my betting app gave me a free $40 bet, and I was like,
well,
okay,
listen,
yeah.
I mean, Vegas is going to catch them eventually. Like, and these are home games. I just want to, quickly say, I think a couple of talks back, you gave a really good steelman of the intelligentsia at MLSE, especially when they hedge, and they do it in a very intelligent way and how they plan for the future. There was an article I remember not long ago describing like one of those quant guys. I think he's like a local U of T graduate, some like rocket science guy who was helping them build like these data sets.
Mm-hmm.
And they sort of prognosticate, and then they forecast, and they give suggestions, and it's a collaborative effort, I'm sure. But I'd like to know what they thought they were planning for this season, and how what's happening matches up against what they thought was going to happen, because it's either an unmitigated failure in orders of magnitude, or this whole thing is going to turn around after the All-Star break. And
I mean, right now they are on pace to win 36 games.
36 games.
Yeah.
36 games.
35 to 36 games, and that's factoring very conservatively for a very tough schedule. So I really do think that the Raptors, they have some of the smartest people in the world working for them. I can tell you that much. And,
I agree.
And I think there's two sides of it, right? There's what Nick Nurse says. There's what Nick Nurse says to his staff. There's what Masai Ujiri says in the press conferences, and he's genuinely very authentic and usually pretty forthcoming about a side. But I think when you see Masai Ujiri talk, or Bobby Webster talk, or Nick Nurse talk, it's best to consider it like watching the moon. You're only seeing the illuminated part of it, and it's not inauthentic what they're saying. They do believe in some of these guys, but there is an entire side of it that's hidden, that's dark, and that they really can't say because of just the politics and marketing of sports, right? You can't just come out and say, hey, we don't believe in this player that we've been selling you as an all-star to drum up fan interest, because these are just things that people, do to have talking points for the media, or to sell jerseys. I mean, I don't think, but show me what you do more so than what you say. If you really believe that Fred VanVleet is a 6'9" heart and he's a champion, I mean, these things are exaggerations to a degree. I mean, the role he played on the championship, team notwithstanding, obviously what he is billed at and what he is to this team are completely different. They're completely, it's hard to even reconcile the way he talks about himself, or the way he's escaped any level of scrutiny from the media. So it's like, okay, well, if you really believe that, why doesn't he have a contract right now? Why was he not signed back? Why are you signing Otto to a 1+1? Why is everything short term for this team? I mean, you look at other teams. I mean, Landry Shamit's on a 4-year deal. So Phoenix believes in Landry Shamit a little bit more than you believe in certain players. And I mean, I understand sometimes
he's a good player.
I mean, Landry Shamit is awesome, and we're gonna.
I love that guy.
I'm bringing up Landry Shamit for a reason, because we're gonna get into him in the trades thing. But I think that at some point you just have to look at it and say, okay, well, they have a contingency plan in place. I think they do, and I believe that they do have the utmost faith in Scottie Barnes. I do. You just don't trade. You don't hold a guy out of Kevin Durant talks unless you are betting on the moon as the upside for him, right? I just think that what will happen will be surprising to people who followed the narrative closely in the beginning, but I think that whatever happens, it will have been a planned exit from whatever this crap that we're seeing on the court is. And I don't think that Nick Nurse will be the scapegoat for it. I think he's very much in it. Like, I think they still have a lot of belief in him. And just reading the tea leaves, really, I think Nick Nurse, Scottie Barnes, I don't think these guys are going to be held. I don't think OG Anunoby has done anything to sour the organization on his future. Pascal Siakam, I'm not so sure. Fred, I'm not sure. Gary, I think it's probably more leaning out. And I think it's really ironic that the last time this team tanked, there was all this talk about this being this great draft. And I think it's kind of ironic that once again, they find themselves on the cusp of ending up in the lottery very easily after 2 more losses they could be. And it's once again a very top heavy, very exciting draft full of players that really match up with what the Raptors like to do.
Yeah, Bobby Webster gives me like a cloaks and dagger type of vibe.
He would be my best friend if I could just meet him once.
I think he said as much when he was interviewed by William Lewis on some time ago. He said he was considering working for the CIA. I mean, that's promising. That's good for us, I suppose. And I agree with literally everything that you said. I would caution though that you know, if you don't have at least some dialogue, I mean, of course you want to run things in secrecy because it gives you, and they leak nothing, that office. I mean, we've known that for years, but if you don't have like a dialogue with your audience, like the people like you're selling entertainment to on some level, and I'm not saying they don't, but that can break down over time. I mean, because when you contrast this time last year, I mean, it's stark. It's a stark picture, and I think your channel is going to grow tremendously because as the Fairweather fans kind of like basically walk away from the season, and I don't blame them. The people who are balls deep, they're going to start coming here for some answers. I think that's what this show's providing, and I think that you know, don't shy away from the data heavy analysis, right? Because at the end of the day, that's how they think. They being MLSE. Yeah, they have to think that way, you know.
Absolutely, providing some insight into how they see a 25-point per game scorer versus how fans see a 25-point per game scorer. It's very different, right? Because they're just looking at different data. They're looking at a completely different set of analytics than everyone. I mean, you're not seeing or hearing about Siakam's slippage on defense, but I assure you that someone at MLSE is very closely monitoring how much the defense has taken a nosedive since his return. You're not maybe seeing, you know, the progress that Delano Banton has made in very brief stints because he's down in the G League. And to a casual fan watching today, they're like, wow, you're down Fred VanVleet and Delano Banton still didn't play. He's down in the G League. They must think he sucks. They don't. They don't think he sucks. They have a lot of vision. They have a lot of expectations for this guy, and I don't expect to see him leaving anytime soon. He just happens to have a contract that they would like to keep under a certain amount. And that's just, again, it's like when you've been around this long enough, you start to see how certain front offices operate, and none of them operate the exact same way. There are obviously certain things that are very specific to the Raptors, but I listened to Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster very carefully. Dan Tolzman, the offense is, like, just generally speaking, like one of the smartest front offices. Like, we're not just talking basketball smarts, we're talking life smarts, business smarts, you know, stats smarts, math smarts, physics smarts. Like the average casual fan, if they even got tape of a 5-minute conversation between Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri talking basketball, I don't think it would make much sense to them. Because they're just looking at this from such a bird's eye view. Like there's such a top down approach to this. So anyway, man, thanks a lot. I'm glad you smashed the over, and glad you made some more.
I'll be watching you guys keenly and keep doing what you're doing. All right, have a great night.
Thank you. You too. Cheers.
Well, I got the Raptors plus 15.5, so that makes me feel good. And then the Spurs just beat the Knicks, so we're good on the 3-game parlay.
Shit. What was it? How bad was it? What was the score?
Like by 8, I think 8-9 points.
Crap. I had the 5.5. All right. Next up, we got Samuel, and then we got SG, and then we're going into the trades. Let's try to keep these a little bit closer, but you guys are so interesting to talk to. Samuel, what's going on?
I'm going to use the restroom if I was. Go ahead.
No, I'm looking forward to the film analysis. I was just watching the. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you speak a little bit louder?
Yeah, I was just watching the Ja Morant block on Scottie again, and the one that really strikes me. Pascal was driving on Dylan. I think it's Dylan Brooks, right? Mm-hmm. And you can clearly see he's playing. He's funneling him to the right, and he keeps just driving in, and hopefully he tackles him with his shoulder, and then throws in that, I don't know what you call it, that semi floater or whatever, and then pushes the guy off. Like, no, dude, do you not see he's funneling you to the right? And then all these guys are standing behind a defender. Like, there's just no room, no movement at all. So,
yeah, I mean, at some point you keep going 4-on-1 in the paint, you are going to crap out. And there are a lot of open shooters that were available. We can argue all day whether or not they would have made a better shot or whatever. But I think there was this one play I remember where Scottie finds like an open corner shooter and he just misses it. But I think it's just a smart play. Like, you just got to play the odds at some point. If you have a 48% 3-point shooter in the corner, he's wide open, and you're going up for a contested layup, My view on it is if you take that contested layup, you just cost your team potential points. I don't care if they convert to real points. I don't care if you make the two or miss the two. It doesn't really matter. It's just your percentage on that shot cannot be better,
Correct.
or usually will not be better than that open 3-point shooter. Just hopefully we'll see some of that. Yeah.
Yeah, listening to what you just said earlier, it makes a lot of sense. You guys, the only thing is, I mean, Nick, Coach Nurse has been given a lot of slack, maybe because of his championship. Like, I mean, it
I think
seems
he's a
that
hell of a coach. I know it's hard to see that today.
how does this disaster happen? Because I would imagine he would be like, guys, you ain't playing, or he was told to do it this way. That's if what you guys predicting in this show and maybe previously are correct. Either he's doing that, and like you said, you can't, they can't say this to fans, or I
Right.
don't know what you guys see, or he's, do you guys see a guy who's kind of his bag of tricks ran out, and this is it? This
Yeah.
is his ceiling as a coach, and he can't know. This is it, and doesn't matter who you like. How do you guys lean towards that? Because how can a brilliant coach, which we described 2 or 3 years ago, be this bad? Now you can say guys
I mean,
are
look,
injured.
coaching staffs are big, right? And Nick Nurse has already kind of said that he's not really coaching the offense. That's on Trevor Gleeson, and that offense that he was running in Australia has made its way over here, but it's not really working, and I can't really say that it's ever being executed properly. And I've seen his
Yes,
team
I agree.
play in Australia, and it doesn't look like this at all. It's really hard to say what is happening to this offense. It feels like just smashing your head against a tree over and over, saying like, make it end, because it's so ugly to watch. My girlfriend does not follow basketball. She is to tell you that she is casual is like a massive understatement. If she ever hears this, she knows that. I call her casual to her face all the time. She does not know basketball at all. She has asked me some of the most insanely idiotic things about basketball in the world. Today she asked
Mine
me
too.
today at the 12, it was like 1 minute mark of the first quarter, she asked me the question, why is Scottie Barnes not playing? I'm like, he already played. He went to the bench. Like these small things. Even she says that this offense looks so stupid. And it's like, okay, well, what does her opinion mean really if she doesn't really understand basketball? But she's like, and I'm like, well, how did you come to that conclusion? Because I am genuinely curious when people arrive to a conclusion how they got to that point. And she's like, the ball just seems to move a lot faster for the other team. Everything seems so easy for them. Everything looks so hard for us. And I was just like, you don't need to understand basketball to understand what's going wrong. So it's very difficult
That's
for me
funny.
to sit here and then be
hilarious.
like, okay, it is funny, right? But it's funny for me to sit here and be like, okay, well, yeah, but the person who's in charge of all of this, the head coach, he's still smart, even though my girlfriend, who
Really?
about basketball is not very smart, can still spot that this offense sucks. But ultimately, you play to your system. You play to the, there is more at play here. Like, for instance, when people see Scottie Barnes give a blow by, sometimes that's by design. Even like funneling guys, certain coverages, certain schemes are demanding that you allow guys to go past you on the baseline. The Detroit Pistons, if you would remember, the Pistons team that won the championship with Tayshaun Prince, there was a scheme that they would implement against certain teams where they would have Tayshaun Prince and his lanky long arms, and they would just funnel guys along the sideline and throw them into Big Ben. So almost every single time Tayshaun Prince was giving a blow by, but it was a very contained blow by where he still trailed the play. And then by the time that guy who drove on him thought like, or whether it was Tracy McGrady in the playoffs or whoever, was like, oh my God, I got an open layup, but Big Ben smashed the block. That's part of a scheme. You can't stop everybody. You can't stop anybody in the NBA. Like you ever watch like the World Cup, right?
Yep.
So that the penalties, right? The
Correct.
goalkeeper has to guess.
Of course.
Nobody can react fast enough to how fast that ball is coming at you. In most cases, you got to pick and you just got to guess. And in a lot of ways, guarding in the NBA with the current rules is a lot like that. You just got to guess. And you just got to guess, and then you got to recover. Then you got to guess, and you got to recover, because these guys are too fast. Athletes are too fast. The rules are way too stringent on defense For anyone to stop anyone one-on-one is just, it's damn near impossible.
Impossible.
So, do you guys think this is a case where I think you guys may have brought this along was like, look, we got to sell these guys at a higher price, so we're going to feature these guys and playing this way by design. So that's the only answer if you think, and if not you guys, but I guess if we feel Coach Nurse is a better coach than he's showing, this is the only way, but it also makes them look bad. I mean, another team can see this kind of nonsense. Like you guys are overselling these guys too. Don't you think? Like something doesn't. The dots.
Who
are
are
not
we?
connecting
Who are
yet.
we overselling? Oh, by the way, I just want to say thank you to Recruiter Dude Ian. Thanks a lot for the super chat. It really does help. Goes a long way. Covers some of those Christmas expenses. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
No, I'm saying like guys like maybe Fred, maybe.
Oh, you think
Pascal.
you think I'm overselling Fred?
No,
No,
guys.
I'm
Oh,
saying I'm saying
wow.
the team. I'm saying
Oh, the team is overselling
So
Fred.
by playing
GMs
this
know
way,
the value.
Well,
of
I
these
mean,
guys,
okay,
bro.
so
Yeah.
what? Okay, so here's my question to your question. What advantage would you have as the Raptors to undersell him right now, other than to communicate frustration
I'm
to
not.
your fan base?
I'm not disputing that. This is not a question. I'm just wondering if they're doing this by design to showcase these guys so they can sell them at a better price in
Right.
the market. But then, go back. Was it Leo? Sorry. Your point is, don't other teams see that? Like
They do.
Oh, for sure
yeah.
they do. I mean, the teams are going to do their analysis, but then that team has to sell that player that they're trading for to their fan base the best they can. Fred VanVleet is a current, technically, until the next All-Star bid comes out. He still has the cachet to a particular fan base that may not know better as an All-Star point guard. So if you trade for him, there's a little bit of cachet trading for him as opposed to trading for Malcolm Brogdon, even though I could argue that they're both pretty equivalent right now, right?
But like teams know, because I sit in the media section and next to me we got scouts from different teams that they may play like 5 games from now. Like I was sitting next to Bana Udry. I don't know if you guys remember him, but he's a scout for the Hawks now.
Right.
He played for the Spurs, the Kings, etc. And they all see the same thing that we all see. Like in live action, they know who's good, they know who's struggling, they know how fan bases perceive their own players. They know that going into negotiations. Like that's just a fact.
So if that's the case, right, then I'm wondering, and I don't want to go conspiracy here, but are we tanking on purpose here? Like that's the only explanation I can see.
They're just not good enough.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they're not
Maybe
tanking.
they saw that.
They're just not good enough.
No, but they may have saw that and said, look, we need to get some talents in the upcoming draft, or we need to make some moves, and this is the way to make these moves and justify it. But then I think the previous caller said it right. You kind of have the danger of alienating your own players and the fan base at the same time. So, I mean, it's a risky move. I'm assuming if that's by design. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it by design, or really Nick has ran out of bag of tricks?
I really don't know. I wish I knew. Unfortunately, I am reacting to very sad news right now. Which I'm just going to pull up on the screen. The Raptors have waived Justin Champagny.
Wow. Jeez.
I am blown away. This was one of my favorite players on this team. And
well, time to go sign this kid.
Honestly, like if I know, wow, like I know that there are a lot of others, there are a lot of very incredibly smart people who watch this show. Justin Champagny, I believe, recently got some controversy for putting up a free me or whatever on his story, and the minute he did that, I was like, his days in this system are numbered. Does this gear up? Because he was not a two-way guy this year. By the way, FYI, everyone out there, he was not a two-way guy. He was an actual contract guy. To waive him right now makes absolutely no sense, in my opinion. I think he had some value around the league, at least as a filler. So is this setting up for, a 3-for-1, 3-for-2, 2-for-1 type of trade?
Siakam.
I don't know about Siakam, but that could, I think, I've been saying for a while, like I don't want to say that I necessarily know what numbers the Raptors look at, But I look at a particular set of data sets that I create, math that I don't think it's proprietary to me at all. It's just the way I function, from a hedge fund background, stats background. I have a background in stats from U of T. So when I look at this team, I see pending doom every single loss that piles up. And I was just wondering what the doomsday number was for the Raptors for them to pull the plug on the season, because they do have one, guaranteed. There's a Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, these are very smart people. So they do understand it. So was this the trade? Like, is this setting up for a trade? Because January 14th is just around the corner. We're just, basically 2 weeks away from it. And there are some very, very interesting players that suddenly become available to trade for.
But they only
14th.
saved
So
$800,000 though, so they could have used them as a filler.
they definitely could
I was
have.
gonna say, yeah.
That they definitely could have. But if there is a smart GM scout who watches this, somehow sign Justin Champagnie, man. I'm telling you, trust me, he's really good. He's a really good player. He's a really good dude. I am so devastated.
How
that
does
they
he
would...
fit on the Sacramento Kings? Just sell me on that.
He's a great offensive rebounder, growing shooter, so defender. I don't know
How
how he
does he
fits.
fit with the bonus?
Not great. Occupies
Okay.
a lot of the same court, same areas on the court. Anyway,
Anyways,
yeah, Samuel, thanks a lot for calling in,
I'll let
man.
you
I
go.
really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it,
Sorry,
yeah.
I got completely sidetracked.
No,
One of my favorite
worries.
players gets waived, and
enjoy your show. Love to see more of the film breakdowns and maybe you guys going into numbers and stuff like that. Thank you.
absolutely, we're gonna do the film breakdown right towards the end, and we got time for one more caller, and that's gonna be SGE. SGE, can you turn on your camera and or mic?
You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me? I just don't have a camera. That's the only thing.
No worries. No worries.
All right. There was this lineup with Boucher, Scottie. Oh, sorry, just dropping shit. Scottie, Doughton, Boucher, and Scottie, Doughton, Boucher, Gary, and Wancho. And it was in the third, I think, or something. I could be wrong on Wancho.
Are you talking about the lineup with Flynn to start the fourth?
Yeah. Or no, it was in the third or the fourth, but there was no OG or no Siakam with Scottie.
It was with Flynn. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And I'm like, man, like if you go back and watch Scottie's like AAU tape or his college tape, like that, he kind of likes to play that type of basketball where he's like running up.
You mean intelligent basketball?
Yeah, like you're gonna give up the ball, but you're gonna get back the ball type of basketball. Like I'm not giving you the ball and knowing I'm never gonna get it back.
There was a lot of that. Yes, Scottie has like an opening in the post. He kicks it out, sets a pick for Malachi. Malachi curls off the screen, and then boom, it's right back to Scottie. And it's like,
exactly. And
man, this is the way basketball should work.
Yeah, and Down wants to run with Scottie, and Banton loves to run with Scottie.
I love that play from Doughton. Okay, like there's this fast break, and I don't know if Leo, if you pulled up that play, Doughton on the fast break where he passes to Scottie. Scottie passes back to him. I think it was so freaking crisp, and it was beautiful to watch. And I remember this one thing. So I'm a very observant basketball watcher person. Is that like I'm creating a title, observant basketball watcher person. That should be on my t-shirt. And there was this one play where I believe it was in the Detroit game or the last time Doughton played, and he did something incredible. And they flashed to Scottie on the bench, and he turns over to, I believe it was Thad or OG, and he's like, he's good. And I was like, from that moment, I was like, I know that these two are meant to be friends. And it was just like, because, it's like when a guy just only plays in practice, and I mean, obviously teams run the A team, B team, and Doughton usually is not part of either one of them. So it's like, it's really difficult to say where would Scottie have even seen Jeff Doughton play a lot of basketball. He's seen him in summer league, but to see him do it at the NBA level, and I think it's just, there are certain guys on this team that just play the right way. Unfortunately, we just waived one of them, and then there's certain guys who don't. And I think if you want to get the best out of Scottie, if you want to get the best out of Malachi, you want to get the best out of Jeff Doughton, you want to get the best out of Juancho, even a lot of the guys that are really struggling, then you have to limit the number of knuckleheads you play with them at once.
You also straight up, you have to, as a coach, you have to analyze who likes who, like who enjoys playing with who. And that's something Nick Nurse never does. He doesn't look at like Okay, the
Well, he
kids
plays
kind of
Fred
like
and Pascal
playing.
all the time.
Yeah,
They
well,
love
the
each
kid-
other. So
The kids want to feel a sense of dominance. So like if they don't play with Pascal and Fred, like you just let Scottie have his own lineups, it's gonna yield more results, more points, more assists.
I mean, look, earlier I had a video earlier this year where I said one of Scottie, Gary, or Fred going to the bench was going to help this team a lot. And Gary goes to the bench, and I think he's been really good off the bench for them. Unfortunately, you're just running out of starters at this point to play ahead of him. And it's really hard to ignore that he's probably one of your best top 3-4 scorers right now. So anyway, SG, thanks a lot for calling in, man. Really appreciate it. Hope whatever you dropped there is okay and it wasn't
No,
too
it's
expensive.
just that it was just my phone and my keys and some more shit. I don't know. I'll pick it up now.
Well, the keys.
So you have two phones because you're on the phone now. So how are you doing it?
No, I'm on my desktop and I don't have like a camera.
Got it. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks,
all right,
SG. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you'll stick around for the trade talk. All right. Cheers, man. Okay. All right. Okay, let's pull up some trades here. All right. So we're going to get into the trades now. There's about 230 of you watching. It's about 11:19, and these are in random order, okay? And we haven't added picks, so the way this is going to work, okay, and you can certainly, there will be no call-ins for this particular section, but you can definitely flash your comments, and we'll try to make it pretty interactive where we say, like, what do you think of this trade, or who wins this trade? Should I add a pick or whatever? We'll try to make it kind of, fun, because I think after a loss like this, a beating that we just took from the Memphis Grizzlies, we need a little bit of fun in our lives, and we need to dream a little bit. And Justin Champagnie just got waived, so who knows? Maybe the Raptors could use a hint on on where to take these trades. So I'm going to flash a trade. I'm going to act as Masai and Bobby, and Leo here is going to act as the rival GM, and we'll see if he makes the trade, or if he doesn't, and let's get an idea of where our players are. This should come with a trigger warning for Pascal.
And we should preface it though.
Yeah,
we should preface it.
Let me preface this. If you're a Pascal Siakam diehard, like two of these trades are going to make you want to jump off a cliff. So don't, and maybe just tune out and tune back in later. I'm not suggesting.
Also, fan bases always overvalue their players. Typically, and undervalue the opposing players. So we're going to ask yourself, every time we make, whatever hypothetical trade, ask yourselves, will the rival GM accept this and act like you're a diehard, Knick fan or, Celtics fan, and be like, does this make sense for this team? Because
so
if you're looking at it from like just a Raptors perspective, oh yeah, please, like.
Fred VanVleet for John Morant, exactly. Okay, so here's my question for you before, because you've seen all these trades. Was I a super homer about this, or do you think I was a super homer? Oh no! Oh god! I'm gonna get rejected. I'm gonna have to throw in like every pick from now until forever. Okay, these are in random order. I'm not scaling it from like best to worst or worst to best. This is just gonna go and we're gonna see what comes up. So, trade number 1.
Oh shit!
Oh no!
Really? He goes out with the most homer.
Okay, fine. Let's go with it.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I moved it up to the top because I wanted this to be last, and it flashes up first. Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna try to talk you through this.
Okay.
Okay. So the trade is Kevin Love and Evan Mobley, an expiring contract, and your runner-up for Rookie of the Year, for a top 15 player and a very good young prospect that, okay, granted, he's not Evan Mobley, but he does a lot of the same stuff that Evan Mobley does he's a little bit older and he has a lot less potential. So let me know in the comments if you would make that trade. I do think that I'm adding picks here for you. Okay. I'm adding at least 2024 and probably a pick swap in 2026. And so here's my rationale for you.
Okay.
You have Darius Garland. You have Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
You have Jared Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Mobley has not necessarily been great for you this year. He may still be 2-3 years away. And you do not know if Donovan Mitchell is going to stick around because he's had his eye on a big market and Cleveland ain't it. And the last time a superstar signed in Cleveland, it was a guy from Akron named LeBron James, and he left twice. So I'm just saying, if you want to maximize what you have right now, Pascal Siakam is a significant upgrade over Evan Mobley. And I think if you can take some of that offensive load off his table, it also provides like a lot better defense from him. I think he does a lot of the same stuff Evan Mobley does, switchability, all that stuff. All your seams can be the same. It's just your offense unloads to a completely different level. And I do not see with how the Boston Celtics are kind of faltering right now, right? Milwaukee Bucks kind of aging. I mean, let's be real. Let's be real right now, right? The Boston
Tatum.
Celtics lost they lost 2
Tatum
games.
put up 38 tonight, and Brown put up 39.
They don't look as invincible as they did a month ago. Can we agree on that?
Sure.
They lost like 5 of 6 at one point. And like people are like Joe Mazzulla, like what's going on? I think that the cracks have started to show in that team. I still think they're a hell of a team. There's health concerns with Milwaukee. There's an aging core there around Giannis with a lot of money tied up. I think getting Siakam for 2 years gives you such a title contention window if you're the Cavs, that if you're a team that is just, we just want to win one without LeBron to prove that we can, I don't see how this does not make you the title favorite coming out of the East.
Okay, so first of all, I understand what you're saying in terms of Siakam. I'm going to put all my chips in for the next 2 years, and I love the idea of Siakam being my third option and not my first option.
Yep.
That matters a lot because right now, as the featured player for the Raptors, well, the Raptors are a subpar team below 500, so we can see what Siakam is as the guy. So as my third guy, I like it. Obviously, Cleveland, for the most part, hangs up unless you unprotect 2023, which is what I would want.
2023?
Yes, I would want an unprotected
2023
pick. And then I would want a top lottery protected in 2025 for me to make this move.
I think you are very much overvaluing Evan Mobley here. I mean, and I'm a big fan of his.
I don't think so at all.
What have you seen?
I think if you combine Scottie Barnes, Evan Mobley, you're set for the next 10 years in terms of flexibility. You can go ahead and draft somebody in 2024 and just progressively move from there.
I mean, in seriousness, though, if the Cleveland Cavaliers were not winning as much as they're winning right now, I think there would be a lot of focus on, hey, wasn't this Evan Mobley guy supposed to be the next Anthony Davis? Why is he averaging like 11, 12 points per game? He has not been great for them at all. Like his jumper is fundamentally screwed. Like he's shot below 30% from 3 every single year. And that was supposed to be, look, I'm not trying to like say that I don't love the guy.
He's playing with Jarrett Allen though, which takes
irrelevant. That takes away the paint. Jarrett Allen is clogging the paint. Evan Mobley is playing with 2 dynamic passers and he can't like score more. Like I think it would be an overreaction for Cleveland or any fan to say, well, Evan Mobley is, not as good as we thought he was going to be. And I think the same way about Scottie.
Right.
I think the same way about Scottie. I think these are just 2 players who are kind of taking their lumps. However, there is a very, very, very real chance that what you're rejecting here is a borderline superstar to pair with a real superstar to pair with another borderline superstar, all under the age of 28. Like if you thought,
I understand it, but I still want a 2023 pick.
You're not getting the 2023 pick because basically getting rid of Siakam is to initiate a tank so I can keep that pick. That's the only reason I'm even doing this. Like I obviously realize I get way worse. The minute I make this trade, I get worse. I know that. My defense gets a hell of a lot better though, because swapping out what Siakam's doing for my defense, and I 100%. Officially turned the so I am obviously turning the timeline over to a younger timeline while giving you a very legitimate big 3 that is honestly dude, Donovan Mitchell's arguably top 15 player. Fair. Darius Garland's arguably top 20 player, top 25
player for sure.
Okay, he's definitely a top 15 player, and he's playing like it right now. Darius Garland's arguably easily a top 22, 23 player.
No, she's somewhere around 30-ish, somewhere in there.
He's an all-star.
Yeah.
Easy all-star. look at his numbers, man. He's been
He's an
incredible.
all-star in
And
the Eastern Conference.
if you look at his numbers without
He
Mitchell
wouldn't
on
be
the
an
court,
all-star, but he wouldn't be an
wow.
all-star in the West, though. We could go ahead.
Okay. Let's just say I think I watch more Cavs games than most people realize. But yes, he's very good. And his shooting incredible. And
Right.
and Mitchell and it's just, I
Playmaking
think
solid.
and Siakam, for even though he's not a great 3-point shooter right now, he has shown in the past when the offensive load is not on him that he can be a very, very good 3-point shooter from the corner, which is
Okay.
exactly where he'd be. And then when Donovan Mitchell, like, my God, like, I would be so envious of Cavs fans to have that type of big three. And by the way, I'm not even mentioning that you have Jared freaking Allen there. Like, I think this makes you so good. Precious
Okay.
Achiuwa is a kind of like, I think Precious Achiuwa has equivalent value to a first-round pick right now. And he is very good young player. He's a 95th percentile. Have you looked at Precious Achiuwa's defensive metrics? Like, I'm not
I have
just
a
throwing this
counter
guy
for
in
you.
as a toss-in. I'm throwing
So
him
I
in
have a
so that you
counter
keep
for
my...
you.
Okay, what's your kind of...
If you keep your 23 pick, I'm going to ask for a 2024 pick. That's not
Fine.
negotiable, okay? But the kicker here is how bad do you want Wemby, okay? And I'm going to preface it saying that I want OG in this move. If I get OG,
Nope.
well, then we're hanging out.
Okay, fine. We're gonna move on from this trade.
Yeah.
I really wanted to make this happen, but we're
want
not gonna make
OG.
it happen. So,
How do you not do it when you will get worse?
I flashed the big one. Okay, I don't want to deal with 2 Siakam trades in a row, so we're just gonna go to this one. This I think is more. I'll give you something younger for something that fits me better, and Bogdanovich for Gary Trent Jr. I think you get the younger player to go with a tanking sort of roster. I think we get a player that maybe fits more with our size, vision, shooting needs. I think,
But that also tells me that you're not in tanking mode no more, that you're going for the play-in or
Yeah,
at
this
least
is-
the top
this is-
6 team.
yeah, we're playing or bust right now with Bogdanovich. But I do think Bogdanovich, very smart player. I'm replacing
Love him.
a not super smart player who is very talented with a player
Yeah.
who is super much older, like 10 years older, right? Bogdanovich is 33, 32, 33 right there. Still, I think they're close on par on defense. I think Bogdanovich might be a little bit better. And as a shooter, spacer, I like Bogdanovich better, and I love him coming off my bench. So do you say yes to this?
I want to pick
No.
with that.
No.
Wow.
I am giving you a
Remember that.
23-year-old player who you can absolutely keep at a very reasonable price, who fits in beautifully with your core, does effectively all the same shit this guy does. By the time Cade, Killian, freaking Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, by the time these guys are good, Bogdanovich is gone. You don't even know if you can keep this guy next year. And I'm giving you a guy who fits your
Other
timeline so
GMs
much
are
better.
calling me, and they're offering me a first-round pick. So, are you willing to give up?
Who's
a
offering you a
pick?
first-round pick?
The Lakers are offering me a first-round pick and Patrick Beverly. And I'm gonna say
think-
no to that because
But I'm offering you a 23-year-old score a bucket. A guy who is starting for my team.
Well, he's
Check his
he's
isolation
a
score.
six-man chucker. I mean, I'm bringing off Sadiq Bey off my bench, and I don't think that I would want and I prioritize Sadiq over a guy like this chucker. But if you want to get rid of him just to go in for the play-in, I want a protective first, and you got a deal.
No. Okay, moving on.
Okay.
I like Bogdanovich, but not that much. Protected first. What are you talking about? I'll give you a protected second. Top
I got the
55
Lakers giving me
protected.
first. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they're giving you first in 2027. You don't know what
Which is
superstar they're gonna.
valuable as hell to me.
Yeah, well, that's hypothetical value. I'm giving you a young player right now who is easily at least worth a first round pick, in my opinion, Gary Trent Jr. If I offer Gary Trent Jr. to the Lakers, they give me a first too. Okay, guaranteed. He helps them so much. Okay, all right. We're not liking that trade, so we're gonna take that one off. Okay, and we're gonna take the first one off. You didn't give me Evan Mobley. You didn't complete my dream. So let's see if you like this one. So speaking of the devil, the Los Angeles Lakers, this is, you're going to give me a pick for this, for sure. I'm giving you Fred freaking VanVleet and Kem Birch. You're going to give me Patrick Beverly, Lonnie Walker, Kendrick Nunn. All of them expiring. None of them are probably going to be within your plans next year. And Fred VanVleet probably is going to be, I think, a perfect fit next to LeBron and AD. I think he helps you compete. I think he really shores up your defense, him and AD. What do you say?
I like it. I'll give you a protected first. And yeah, let's make it happen.
Okay, so I want a top 5 protected 2027.
No. I'm giving you a top 20 protected pick.
Top 20 protected, that will never convey. No. Okay, top 20 protected 2027 and unprotected in 2028. It becomes unprotected in 2028. If it doesn't convey in 2027,
It becomes a top 10 in 2028. I don't like Fred VanVleet that much to unprotect my picks. So
I'm not suggesting you unprotect your picks. I am, however, saying that you have 2 of the top 20 players in the league, one of whom is one of the greatest players of all time. And if you want to maximize that guy's peak, Fred VanVleet really allows you to do
the
that.
The timing of this trade is that Mr. Glass is injured. Oh, I'm sorry. Anthony Davis is a little bit injured right now, and I don't know when he's
Does he want
back.
company? Because Fred VanVleet is injured too. They could share a hospital bed, bro.
They might. So I think the timing of this trade, Messiah, is a little bit off. But say you called 2 weeks ago, we probably pull the trigger. But right now, it depends on what my fellow assistant GM LeBron James has to say about this one.
LeBron James, big Fred VanVleet fan.
Oh, okay.
I've
Are
confirmed.
they both clutch?
Yep.
Well. That
Yeah.
makes some
Well,
sense.
Fred's not a clutch client yet, but
not yet.
he will be soon. He will be soon when he sees
Bet on yourself, baby.
when he sees the offers that pile up for him, he'll join clutch real fast. Okay, so I am not doing this without top 10 protection. I'll do lottery protected 2027 and top 5 protected 2028. And
I'll do lottery protected 2027 and top 10 2028.
All right. Before I say yes, I'm just gonna let the fans decide. All right. All right, fans, tell me the things. He said Lakers don't have picks anymore.
Was there a trade like 2 minutes ago or what? I'm not aware of.
Had good picks from LA. So No Name says, bro, what? These trades are so bad. WTF, you can definitely get more for Fred.
No, you can't.
Okay. No Name, I got to tell you.
Did you listen to what I said? People know his injury history. People know his limitations. People know if you put him with a healthy AD and LeBron, yeah, you'll maximize him, but he's not going to work everywhere else, though.
So Effie says they do not have 2028. Yes, we know that. So basically
2029. Sorry, so it'll convey in 29.
So the next year it can convey is 2029. So it becomes top 10 protected 2027. And if it doesn't convey that year, then it conveys the next year can convey. So whether that's 2029. Okay, so Tommy T says pass. Derp says 6 firsts. Nope. Lakers only have, why do we need why do none of these trades look at getting a center? Well, not yet, man.
Not yet.
It's a no for me, but borderline. William Chan says it's a no for me, but borderline.
Oh, so it's close for him.
Yeah. Raptor players have higher value to league management than American fans. I mean, Leo's not really just a fan. He is, an analyst and someone who covers this league. But nevertheless, NY4 Raps. When do we start blaming nurse? Okay.
I told you guys, don't overvalue your players. Everyone, don't look at Fred VanVleet like the all-star that y'all think he is. He's not an all-star.
Yeah, he's really not. Like, guys, at this point, like, you really do have to.
Especially right now.
Gobert got 4 firsts and Fred VanVleet can't.
Okay, so I'm glad he brought that up because I believe Rob said this last time that I was on about I'm gonna get 4 firsts for Siakam. Okay, so let's just contextually talk about that trade specifically. Who was involved in it? Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge has also fleeced the Brooklyn Nets, right, with the old KG, old Paul Pierce move, which is historically if not the best, one of the best. And he did it again. That does not mean that every single GM likes to get fleeced. And just because Gobert commanded for the moment that happened, a lot of people knew that was just, oh my God, Danny did it again. That doesn't mean that you're going to get 4 firsts for Siakam. That doesn't mean that the next GM is going to get 4 firsts for X and Y player. It doesn't work like that, bro. Like, we don't see these historical trades every year. Like, oh my God, that guy got fleeced. Well, let me go try and fleece that guy. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and honestly, I just think that, you know, people are undervaluing just how good some of the players in this deal coming back. Like, they're seeing names that they probably don't recognize or don't care, they don't care too much about. But I mean, Lonnie Walker he's great. Like, he's really good so far this year. I think he really fits what the Raptors are trying to do. I think he's a very cheap not Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr. replacement,
who attacks the rim.
Who attacks the rim relentlessly. Patrick Beverley is exactly the type of culture setter that I want in this locker room, to be honest. Say what you want about him. He's tough as nails. He is pesky. He's annoying, and I know Scottie's going to love him. I know OG's going to love him. You love this guy when he's on your team, and he is a great teammate. He is not a ball hog. He's not a chucker. He knows his role, and he just guards hard. And I think, you know, this defense requires a point guard who's active and disruptive, and he is that. Also a great way to sort of get off of whatever debate you're having internally about Fred VanVleet. Look, at the end of the day, you got to understand this guy wants a max, right? He wants the max dollars. He said it quote after quote after quote to the media that I believe I'll be rewarded for sacrificing for the better of this team, et cetera, et cetera. He views playing 38 minutes a night or 40 minutes a night as a sacrifice. And I'm telling you that he's had a fully capable backup this whole freaking time, and they won't play him. So you can keep calling it a sacrifice. You can keep acting like it's fucking charity, but it's not. It is an audition to boost numbers, and he knows what his numbers need to look like as a starting point guard demanding a max contract. He knows that very well because his agent probably reminds him every single day. And if you actually talk to players, if you really know players, you'll understand that they have trainers and agents saying, you got to get your scoring average up to 18. You got to get your assists up to 6. This is how they think. Not because that's how they see basketball, but that's because they know that's how GMs are going to be able to justify paying them what they actually want. That's just the reality of the situation. You determine your market value through your stats because the organization will determine selling you as something to, you know, imagine if Lonnie Walker was putting up 23 points per game right now. Just imagine how high his value would be. Now, would he be viewed as that? No, probably not, right? But that would be something very appealing for a fan base to rejoice around until you know, got him into your own system and realized he wasn't that.
Right.
So the numbers are important. And I think for Fred VanVleet, undersized point guard, seeking max contract, sees himself as, I think this is one of those things where you just got to realize other teams aren't stupid. All right. Let's just,
real quick.
Do we agree to that or no?
Yes. Chaz123 says, imagine if Sack gives up 2 firsts for Fred VanVleet. Sorry, bro. Sack actually has an all-star point guard. Go ahead.
That's true. My God. Okay. So that is a successful trade. All right. How do we feel about this one? Now, this one I love for a lot of reasons.
For the Raptors. If I'm Phoenix, I'm hanging up ASAP.
Okay. Let's be real.
I don't want no
they have
card.
been. Okay. This is where you are going to have to stop being Leo and you're going to have to start being the Phoenix Suns. They have been dangling both of these players in trades for far inferior players to Gary Trent Jr. Now, we can argue Gary Trent Jr. doesn't necessarily fit, but Devin Booker is out for 4 weeks. He has been often injured. I think Gary Trent Jr. plugs in very well.
Shamet. They rather have Shamet coming off of double stagger screens, shooting movement shooting better than Gary Trent Jr. I'm sorry to tell you that.
Okay, this one we're gonna have to agree to disagree because there's no way in hell I was gonna demand extra compensation for this. You're telling me
you're getting better. Like you're getting Jay Crowder, who is
they haven't played him all year. Do you understand that?
Yeah, but you
forget
just
who he was.
Patrick Beverley as a locker room presence guy. That's exactly what you're getting. And Jay Crowder.
Yeah, but he's playing. Jay Crowder is on an expiring contract and he has not played. They've been trying to trade him literally for anything. They've been trying to trade him. No, come on. They haven't played him all year so far. We're halfway into the season. They obviously are
That's
sour
not a
with.
bad thing, though.
Pardon?
That's not a bad thing, though.
That is a bad thing. I haven't seen this guy play in 10 months. You know what can
But
happen to a guy playing in 10 months?
Though, in terms of a leadership perspective, like that's what Patrick Beverley. I'm watching Patrick Beverley play every night. The guy sucks. But as you said, what he provides is something
Bo Cruz
else
wasn't
that's
hustle.
invaluable.
Bo Cruz wasn't hustle. I immediately boost your female population at season tickets, and you know Robert Sarver cares
true.
about that. So I'm telling you,
If he was still the owner, which they just sold, which we just sold the team to somebody else. But yes,
I feel like
he would have cared.
I feel like Gary Trent Jr. has more value than you give him credit for. I really do. And this is coming from one of his biggest detractors.
For a guy that doesn't attack the rim, I can't do it.
But he has attacked the rim so much better this year. Check his analytics. While I pull up the next trade, I dare you.
Check them. Can
Okay.
Can we check them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you share my screen? Okay, let's.
Yeah, I
let's
can
do it. Okay, let's.
I want people to realize Gary Trent Jr. is a lot better than he used to be. He's not great, but he is better than he used to be.
Okay, 23 years old. His role, he's a picket pocket transition phenom and an interceptor, a one-man wrecking crew pull-up assassin. Okay.
Already feeling better about him, right?
Already feeling better around it. Playmaking off while moving, screen rolling. Let me see. His perimeter shooting right now is a C+. From his pull-up is a D+. His catch and shoot is a B+. Where is his finishing? Here
also, I want to remind you that he is currently playing in one of the worst offensive systems ever, and he's not playing with Chris Paul. Okay, if you put this guy next to Chris Paul, you are going to see a completely different player and probably a resurgent player in a contract year. This guy's going to give you so much more value than Landry Shamet. And Landry Shamet is on a very long-term deal, 4 years, right? And you're not thrilled about him. Yeah, I know it's a good deal, but like that's why I want him. I'm giving you an upgrade on talent and youth for what I think is a much more, I think a very good piece for my system to kind of calm my system down and not give me so many guys who are trying to bet on themselves. I think this is more like an addition by subtraction thing.
Check this out. Drive pass out rate in F. The guy just doesn't pass the ball.
I never told you he was Magic Johnson, okay? But he has a lot of perks, and honestly, there are not a lot. I mean, if honestly, if he did not go to the bench and he was just given free reign, he's a fairly efficient isolation scorer, in my opinion.
His finishing talent is a D+, which is better than last year. You're right. He's in the 40th percentile. I guess that makes me feel a little bit better, and I guess your point to him making me feel better if Chris Paul is playing with him.
Yep.
I mean, that does make me feel better. I guess Bo Cruz sells a little bit of more tickets. I'm gonna have to think about that one. We might have to move on to the next trade, but I'm thinking about it.
Okay, cool. Somebody said if you can't get more than Jay Crowder for Gary Trent, you should just quit as a GM. Look, I'm not doing this for Jay Crowder. Obviously, I think Jay Crowder is an awesome dude, but I'm doing this more for Landry Shamet. And the reason I want to do it more for Landry Shamet is because I am doing what I don't believe the Raptors brass are doing right now, which is picking a direction on how I want to play basketball. Landry Shamet is a very low usage, extremely high IQ movement shooter. The type of player who would thrive next to guys that I actually like on this team. And if you're keeping Siakam, this stagnant, load up the weak side, or load up the strong side and just let Siakam kind of hunt, one-on-one stuff. It doesn't work as well if the players don't move and they don't naturally have that mentality to do that. Shamet is he's constant. I like him. I think he's low maintenance. And I really like players that are low maintenance. So personally, like I just maybe, yes, I'm definitely giving up the best player in this deal. That's usually a precursor to the worst possible deal ever that you could make. You should never give up the best player.
By subtraction, though.
I just don't know how I can keep Gary Trent. That's really it. If Gary Trent was on Landry Shamet's contract, then I would not make this trade.
100%.
That's how I view this. However, Landry Shamet makes so much less that I think he's so undervalued and so underpaid for the next 3-4 years that I have to say, like, I just
There's
want
value
that
in that.
value,
Mhm.
low maintenance guy on my bench. And this is the type of deal where, you know, like it's like the Gravis Vasquez, Patrick Patterson, like those
Yep.
guys, when they came in, we started We the North, and Landry Shamet fits into that ilk, that mold. And he is a much better defender than most people here probably
Yes.
realize. Okay, so we are going to move away from that trade, and we're going to get into, this one's interesting for me. And this is, I think,
This
I
one
think it's
pisses me off because the Raptors could have gotten, called Indiana in the offseason, and this season would have been a lot better from the very get-go if
Yeah.
he got Brogdon. And I know you didn't like it in the offseason. I know Kane didn't want that because he's injury history. I'm like, bro, this is the perfect guy to play with Scottie Barnes. A guy that can score, a guy that can facilitate. That's
Yeah.
not a me guy. And y'all just like oversaw that, and now you're kind of going back and saying, well, he would actually fit, but I'm saying no to this one, like 100%.
you see Hollinger's analysis says I lose 7 wins with this. You realize that's
Right.
for a reason, right?
Right, because analytically speaking,
Fred VanVleet is God.
Fred VanVleet is a analytical god. Let me see. Stop sharing my. There you go.
Look, at the end of the day, I think this deal works. I don't look, I think people see Robert Williams and they see different things depending on how they understand basketball. What most fans probably see is pound for pound, probably one of the most impactful per minute players in the league, right? In so many ways, right? He has been top 5 at certain points in box plus minus and some very, very highly interesting analytics, very team favorable contract. But like a lot of guys in that mold, like Chris Boucher, who often leads the team in PER, win shares, et cetera, there are diminishing returns for every minute you play him over 15 minutes. His injury history is not great. I'm giving you 2 very good players who can absolutely fit into what you're doing. I think Fred VanVleet is the better point guard between him and Malcolm Brogdon.
Oh, hell no. There's no way. He's not a better point guard. He might be a better player.
He's a better player. He's not a
better point guard, though.
He's
I
also
think
younger.
Point guard,
He's also younger. And I think he fits what the Celtics are doing better. And as somebody who watched the Boston Celtics, hold on. Look, in fairness, Fred VanVleet next to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is a very different proposition than Fred VanVleet next to Pascal Siakam. Okay? I think what this guy can do for you, if he snaps out of his shooting streak, is become the best 6th man in the NBA. Okay? Behind Marcus Smart, he can come off the bench. He can contribute to winning. He's obviously he is a way better defender.
So why did the Celtics lose in the finals? Let me ask you that. It wasn't defense.
Unreliable point guard play. Dude, honestly, they had nobody who could generate offense.
Fred VanVleet does not do that for me.
Fred VanVleet does that a hell of a lot better than you think. First of all, like
he doesn't do it better than Brogdon. 100% disagree with you.
I think that they bring a lot of the same stuff, but Fred VanVleet is so much further along than Brogdon as a defender.
Brogdon's 6'6".
No, he's not. He's not 6'6". I've met him. He's 6'3", max 6'3", 6'4", 6'6". My God, like OG Anunoby is 6'6". 6'7", 6'6". Like there's a difference between guys who say they're 6'6" and guys who are actually 6'6", and he's not 6'6". My point is he's like 6'3", 6'2", 6'2 and a half, 6'3", and he basically is older. And I don't know how much he factors.
He's 6'5". He for sure 6'5", like 100%.
Anyway, my point. Have you seen him? Like, have you met him? You've met him, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've stood next to him.
Does he look 6'5" to you?
Yeah, he's a big motherfucker. He's a big guy.
I've seen him standing next to Grant Williams. He didn't seem that big to me. Anyways, so my point is, I think that you get better with this 100%. You get 2 players who can play. And by the way, Peyton Pritchard, you're playing some pretty shit guards off the bench. And I think that Gary Trent Jr. gives you a lot of Jaylen Brown injury insurance. I think you get deeper. And if Danilo Gallinari comes back, you have a stretch 5 that you're probably going to play over Robert Williams in certain situations. I just think this makes you very dangerous. And it shores up your defense, and it gives you a very reliable playmaker. Yeah, not a dynamic playmaker, but a guy who takes care of the ball. There is a reason why Fred VanVleet has analytically been one of the top guys in the league for years now in terms of two-way impact, because he takes care of the ball. He has an incredible shot diet. And when those shots are going in, and they will go in Boston, because the threes are going to be clean, wide open, off the bench, beasting against second units, this is the number one way, in my opinion, for guards who are slowly hitting a peak athletically or falling off can elongate their career and prolong their career, is by moving to the bench. And he's not starting over Jaylen Brown or Marcus Smart. So I think he becomes the most impactful sixth man for you. I think he pushes you into championship.
What Brogdon's doing. 94 percentile 3-point percentage. 84 percentile pull-up three. Catch and shoot 91st percentile.
Mm-hmm.
He's been really good for them.
But he's also playing in the best offense in the league, and he's not the only reason.
Good when he's healthy.
I know, but when? How often is he healthy? He's over 30, you know.
I mean, how often is Fred VanVleet healthy?
Fred VanVleet's bill of health over the last 5 years is very much better than Malcolm Brogdon's. I'm positive.
That may be, but I feel
how do you know he's going to be available for the playoffs? I'll guarantee you, Fred VanVleet will push through back pain, neck pain, butt pain to play in the playoffs. You know,
I'm sure Malcolm would too. I'm just very high on Malcolm. I've been a big fan of his game for a long time.
Okay, fine. We're gonna move on.
Yeah,
we're gonna move on. I disagree. I think the Boston Celtics just I'm throwing this up for the record. I think the Boston Celtics say yes. Let's see what some people are saying here. You don't trade. Yeah, that's debatable.
Let me see. His perimeter defense is a B-. Let me see what Fred is. Fred. Let me see what Fred is.
Rakip Green says it's not all about the stats. I think you guys are focused on the stats. I think we're focused on different stats than you are, because it's very difficult to justify that Fred VanVleet has been better this year than Malcolm Brogdon. What I'm saying is that in a different system with a different role, he could be just as good, if not. Yeah. All of Rob's proposed trades so far sound good, especially tonight. Yes, well, let us hope. Let us pray. Okay, we're gonna move on to another trade that.
It's so crazy that VanVleet's Raptors is still pretty good.
He's a really impactful player, man. Okay, so we have.
I'm watching them play, bro.
No, I understand, but okay. So I just like Robert Williams a lot. Time Lord is like one of my favorite players in the league. Just as a vibes guy, I think he would just mesh so well. I think he shores up a lot of what the Raptors need as a paint protector in small doses. I think a lot of what Christian Koloko, they're hoping Christian Koloko can be, is what Robert Williams kind of already is. So it would be a good guy for him to learn from as well. Getting down to our final two trades, we got another Freddie out, and we can't even do this trade anymore because Justin Champagnie just got dealt. Unbelievable. So we're just gonna have to take Justin Champagnie out, and this one is Daniel Gafford, Danny Avdia, and Will Barton. I can already hear Raptor fans hate this one so much because they're like,
That's
"Who is
crazy.
This guy?"
This makes the Raptors like watchable.
Yeah, it really would. I like Danny Avdia a lot.
I love Danny. I mean, I've been such a huge fan of Danny since he came out. I've been overhyped on Danny. I feel like he's the type of guy that gets traded, it gets a different type of system, and he starts. And the offensive game that I saw in the pre-draft process starts to actually come to fruition because his defense has been really good. Like if you look at all the analytics, like he's been really solid. 6'9", has the size, has the athleticism, has the speed. His shot hasn't fell in the first 3 years of his career. A lot of it too because of injuries. That team has a ton of big wings on that team, and that's the reason why too. And there's been a lot of Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, lots of turnover right there as well. But that's a guy that Masai would just love. He is a guy you bet on. And I know Raptor fans may not watch.
You know what? I'm
but-
so sick of the word bet. I've been hearing bet on yourself for 5 years. I'm just sick of this word. I don't want to hear it. I'm just not a fan. Look, I think I mean, let me know in the comments what do you think of this trade, Raps fans?
Will Barton
Daniel Gafford
gives,
to me
gives you
is
a scoring punch. I mean,
I think Daniel Gafford is like a better version of Chris Boucher in so many ways. I think he's young
That's a good
too,
point.
and he's a really good player on a very fair contract. Denny Avdia has a lot of potential to fit into a lot of the 6'9" vision that the Raptors are trying to put
Yep.
together. He's also a little bit more two-way than you would typically assume. I noticed that there's a lot of biases in sports, and one of them is European guy doesn't play defense. Or I mean, I guess Denny Avdia is from Israel, right? So he's not
Yep.
technically European.
Sure.
But nevertheless, foreign
let's show
light-skinned
him.
guy does not play defense is sort of the notion, but he's a much better defender than people think he is.
Yes. Let's pull it up.
And yeah, I think the
He's
Wizards
21. And if you look at his perimeter defense for the slow white guy, the white European guy, he's a 93rd percentile on-ball perimeter defender.
Yeah.
Which is an A. And if you look at his interior, which again, 6'9", he's a 91st percentile percentage of rim shots contested, which fits into what the Raptors want to do.
Yeah, when I told my friend to go and look up Denny Avdia's analytics, he actually dropped his coffee mug. He could not believe it. He's like, I've watched this guy like twice.
This guy play.
I know, and I'm just like, you have to actually watch him play to understand how good he is. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure the Wizards know how good he is, but they're not really treating him like it. So I wonder if he's available
guarding
for the rim.
shot creators 97% of the time, slashers 79% of the time, secondary ball handlers not that much, 31%, and primary, like, he's everything that, you know, perceptionally, oh, he's a slow white, like, no, he's again, pre-draft process, loved him because of his quickness, his lateral speed, like, I saw all of that,
and
intelligence, but his shot hasn't fell, so fans diminish his value because everything is what does the ball go in, like, the fan doesn't see the
mechanics,
the process of playing basketball. They just want to know if he made or missed a shot, and he hasn't been good in terms of that. So let's be fair and show his perimeter shooting, which again is what I'm talking about. A D plus, 3-point percentage, pull up 62, a lot better. So that tells you that he likes to play fast, and in transition, you know, we got a guy named Scottie Barnes, which will find him if he just runs to the corners.
Yep.
So obviously what's his open rating? His shot distance is a B. So 3-point quality, an overall measure of shot quality combining shot location, openness, and the type is an A. So obviously, as I said, in a different system, I feel like he's going to be a guy that will be targeted by a lot of teams because they see what we're seeing, which is upside potential offensively and already a solid defender at this age.
One would hope
Right.
they see that, but yeah, like I don't trust the Wizards organization to do the right thing or the logical thing, so we'll see. Okay, and getting to our last trade, and this is the big one, and I have a feeling like I want to almost like replace you to just get like a regular fan to just come in and be like, yeah, that's great, so that I can finally get one of these trades through. But you're never going to say yes to this, and I hope you will, but I know you're not going to.
Yeah.
But I am offering you Pascal Siakam, Gary Trent Jr., Malachi Flynn, and Bo Cruz for all them, you know, ticket sales, and I will give you 2024 plus 2026 swap. I'm giving you the lion's share.
You don't get worse though. So I want 2023 for sure.
No.
Oh, well, we're already at a disagreement there.
Come on. I'm giving you the best player in this deal by far. I'm taking a lumbering center away from you who's owed major money for the next 2 years. I am allowing you to.
I wouldn't say by far. Like, that's disrespectful to Brandon Ingram. When Brandon Ingram's
hang
healthy,
on.
like
Brandon
100%
Ingram
of the
is
time.
nowhere close to Pascal Siakam right now. Are we watching the same?
I said when he's healthy, which he hasn't been healthy.
Well, I mean, that seems to be the story of Brandon Ingram's life. Okay,
Well,
in a lot of ways, he has
better
not been healthy.
playmaker. I mean, by far a better playmaker.
He's not. Check it. I'm fact checking you on this. There's
Siakam.
no way in hell you think he's a better playmaker. Check the analytics. I dare you. He's
this
good.
season or last season?
This season.
I mean, he hasn't played much. Like,
I'm
that's
sorry.
Not fair.
Is injury impacting playmaking that drastically that you're not willing to check if he's so much better? I'm telling you, Siakam is better than you're giving him credit for, and I am allowing you to pair a top 10 player in Zion with a top 15 player in Pascal while keeping CJ, while keeping Herb Jones, while keeping Jose Alvarado, while keeping a lot of what makes your team really good. And it's not like you're not getting it.
Brandon Ingram, 8-, 84 percentile.
Siakam is in 90+ percentile.
Okay, playmaking talent, 86 percentile, and his box creation, 8+, which, let's give people some context. It is an estimate of open shots carved out for teammates by drawing defensive attention. Obviously created by Ben
check
Taylor.
Siakam's. It's gonna be like an A+.
Okay, so overall we got an A-. Let's look at Siakam.
Yeah, you're gonna be shocked.
I've looked at Siakam's 100 times. Let's see. He is an A+.
Kenneth Lau says, I would say no from the Raptors side. Look, Kenneth, this is not about swapping. This is a steal and a half if there ever was one for the Raptors. You're cashing out on an asset like Siakam, who is super playing to the heights
and he's
right now.
Older, right? Like how much older is he?
3 years.
Okay,
I think Ingram is 25.
Yeah, he is. So that's a little bit of a difference there.
I mean, it is a bit of difference, and I think
not
Ingram,
much, but it's a little bit of a difference.
I think Ingram is just a more. I think he fits more with your timeline. I think he totally fits the 6'9". And by the way, guys, I mean, if you look at this trade, who are you getting? You're getting 3 guys who all fit in with your 6'9" vision, and you're trading one guy who fits in their 6'9" vision. If you want vision 6'9", Brandon Ingram is in spurts point guard. He can play point, and he's been very effective at it. Dyson Daniels is a 6'6" point guard who's on his rookie contract. You have team control for 4 years. Trey Murphy III is a lights out shooter. I honestly would consider even adding a couple of second round picks and maybe even taking protections off of 2024.
So
okay, fine. I'll swap 2024 for 2023 pick.
Obviously you would. It's to me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, Dyson Daniels, who we love, or who you love, and I'm learning to love more because I appreciate smart basketball players just in general. Murphy,
but you got to maximize.
Murphy, I love Murphy. I mean, coming out of Virginia, I mean, I had him pretty high on my big board. I think I had him 16th, if I'm not mistaken. So I know a lot about him. To me, I lose a lot of depth there. Right now, we're still the number 1 seed in the West. And Pascal, maybe player for player, is a tad better. He's also a little bit older right now.
He's not a tad better. He's a lot better.
When Brandon Ingram is healthy, Brandon Ingram to me is a better basketball player overall.
He's
period.
Not. He's
not.
A
guy that's not going to tackle somebody. He's going to get into his moves. He's going to pull up in the mid. He's smooth as hell. He's just a smoother player.
Do you realize that Pascal Siakam goes up against double teams almost every single night, and he's still putting up these types of numbers?
He's also He's also the featured player on this team. That's a bad team.
Yeah, he's a featured player, but you're telling me that he wouldn't. Okay, but he's also been the featured player last year on a very good team. In fact, to call Pascal Siakam a featured player on a bad team, I think is disingenuous, because last year he was very good in the playoffs for at least 4 games. He was very, very good. In 2 games, he was sort of invisible. And for the second half of last season, when the Raptors surged, who was the guy playing like a
I love Siakam.
First? Look, he's a second team. He's a 2-time All-NBA guy.
I'm not giving up my depth, which matters in the playoffs. And this move, I lose that.
I'm giving you 2023.
I don't need that. Like I have all the Lakers picks.
You are clearly
I have a ton of picks. This doesn't move the needle for me.
I think you're overvaluing your youth too much.
No, I'm overvaluing my depth, which
Dyson Daniels was not
pull it up
part.
again.
Dyson Daniels was not big part of your depth to start the season. FYI.
He is now because Ingram's hurt.
Yeah,
So
but that's the point.
So Siakam doesn't get hurt.
Siakam
was hurt for like 8 games this year.
Yeah, that's because the Mavericks can't mop their freaking floor. Okay, so am I getting no from you on this one?
Pull it up.
And I'm giving you Gary Trent Jr. and Malachi Flynn, and they're both playing really well. That doesn't help your depth.
Malachi don't count.
How does he not count? How does he not count and Trey Murphy the third counts?
He's barely playing for the first time, and he's been in the league for how long? And Nick Nurse is
3 years.
It's forcefully playing him, by the way, because he don't want to play him. He doesn't count for me. Like, he has no value. Bo Cruz, realistically speaking, I like his movie value. He has no player value for me, especially because y'all signed him like on the last day of the season, or the last day of the or before the preseason started. Like, no thanks. Like if I wanted him, which I don't, we have his brother on the team?
Yes, you do.
No thanks.
And wait. That's a huge thing. You get two guys who play together who already have synergy. You're replacing Trey Murphy the third with Juancho.
Watching the Raptors play, by
dude. You are replacing Trey Murphy the third with Juancho, and you got his brother already. You're replacing Gary Trent Jr. in a lot of ways with you're replacing Dyson Daniels with Gary Trent Jr. in a lot of ways, and you're replacing Brandon Ingram with a guy who is so much more ready to help Zion compete right now in Pascal Siakam. I don't see how you don't do this trade. I don't see how the Pelicans wouldn't do this trade. And if they go on a losing skid or whatever, granted, they're probably not going to, and teams are usually apprehensive about shaking things up when they're winning. But I think if you could add a serious dose in the arm like Pascal Siakam to pair with Zion, my God. Like, you have the best 1-2 punch in the NBA with that twosome. It's hard to argue for me that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can compete with that, or Kyrie and Kevin Durant. It's up there.
For sure. No, like,
it's up there.
That's a better
Zion, bro. Are we watching the same Zion? Like, I think
Zion plays football every night. Like, D'Lo just talked about this last night.
They both play football.
Touch him.
Yeah, like, Zion and Pascal both play football.
They both love football, so they might be a match made in heaven.
I just think like I don't know a single team like Zion is such a good passer and Siakam is such a good passer, and you're just spacing all these shooters around them like C.J. McCollum, Gary Trent Jr., Hernan Gomez brothers. Like, you just got shooters galore, and now you got these picks. No, hold on, and now and you got Jose Alvarado, who's an evolving shooter, and you got like shooters galore, and you got picks galore. Now you got your own picks, which is like crazy assets built up. Right now, you get 2 of our picks as well. I'm thinking like you could literally go out and you could replace depth anyway. You're not getting, there's no player on the market that is giving you anything close to Siakam.
Siakam is a Cameroonian tornado, bro, and he had spicy Pete. I love that comment. He is a tornado sometimes, but sometimes he's just a damn tsunami that just wants to take the whole team down by himself.
Yes. Okay.
No.
Jamie's a good point. Also, bringing some championship experience. Siakam. Hold on. Siakam. Well, that is a very good point. Siakam has been number 2 to a guy who is kind of on par with Kawhi in Zion, right? Like the Zion.
No,
Kawhi.
but you know, I get the point of Siakam's.
Zion's also like 22. Okay, like in fairness, so you're gonna grow these guys together for the next 2-3 years, right? Like
Zion
Siakam
is also a guy that I can't trust to not eat everything and not actually play at his actual weight that can get hurt any game. He's just like AD. So, no, I don't know how much I trust Zion Williamson, period. Which is why we put a clause in this contract. I don't know if you read that if he doesn't meet certain standards at his weight, he ain't getting that money.
Here's the thing. Pascal Siakam, hardest worker in the world. So you're gonna put him in the gym.
Who said that though? He said that, or did Rico Hines say that?
His agent said that. Okay. No, but in all honesty, like, I think people who've been around Siakam would tell you like his workman like approach, and there's no way that you go from where he was to where he is now without killing it on the work ethic. And I think his growth, like, consider this.
Okay.
Siakam was a 27th overall pick in the 2016 draft. Ingram was the second overall pick in what, 2018?
2016.
2016. Same draft.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. Okay, so same draft. Which of these two players has come farther or much further over that period of time? In reality,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Like where Ingram started and where
Because
he's
of his
ended.
expectations, right? Like
It's
he was
it's
supposed
not
to be
even
Kevin
just
Durant.
expectations.
He was supposed to be like this next insane player, which
Sure.
I think injuries have held him back a lot.
Absolutely, but I also think, you know, I mean,
Playing
I'm
for
not,
the
I'm not-
Lakers, like
I'm
during
not-
that tenure, was just awful for his career.
but that was 2 years. In fairness, right?
2 years, 2 years too many.
I think he played for them for 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. It might be 3 years. So
Might be
I'm
3
just
years,
saying,
yeah.
like if you look up his stats, I don't think that you have any reason to believe that this is a guy who is on the verge of ever touching Siakam's peak, right? And Siakam's at his peak right now, and he will probably extend it because he's looking for the next contract. So he's going to be this good for at least 2 years. And for those 2 years, you'll have Zion, Siakam, CJ. Hold on. What?
No, the
Comments?
comment. Zion's a fat like sister, just size of a Buick. Oh my god.
Yo, where are these fucking spammers coming from?
Ben says that much weight can't be jumping and landing that hard. You have to have a small sense of uncertainty. That's what I'm saying. Like, we can't call him Kawhi. I mean, Kawhi Leonard's also, injured all the time. But no, and look, from the Raptor perspective, I would love BI. I would love Murphy. I would love Dyson. Like, that would be amazing.
I think it just resets. And honestly, I don't ever expect Brandon Ingram to be better than Siakam. I don't expect him to ascend to that. I just think that he fits in better on my timeline with OG and Scottie. I think between those three guys, probably Ingram is the number one shot taker for now, but I know that on a night-to-night basis, the other team is always going to almost have a guy who's better than my lead guy, and that hopefully will cue my team to play a little bit less ball dominant. And I take 3 more swings at Vision 6'9". I keep Precious Achiuwa out of this deal. I basically roll out nothing but 6'9" players, and I probably dump Fred VanVleet somewhere if I make this trade. And I'm just like, look, I think there's been a lot of talk recently in Raptors, among the Raptor fan base of, oh, we need to quit this Vision 6'9" thing. We need to quit Vision 6'9". First of all, you're not playing Vision 6'9". That's the problem. You're not even playing it. You're not even trying it. Get a guy like Trey Murphy III. Honestly, lights out shooter. You need that. Your shooters aren't making shots. You're not playing Vision 6'9" when you're playing Fred VanVleet, Malachi Flynn, and Gary Trent Jr. You're just not doing it. And so much of how that's supposed to work is clogging up those passing lanes, deflecting at the rim, making everybody switchable. Well, you can't do that with Fred VanVleet on the court. You just can't. You can't do that with the guys that you're playing right now. So you don't have the personnel to play this way. And I look at all the players who do fit that mold. Robert is trading for lesser defenders. Dude, I will tell you right now,
Robert is balancing.
Robert
his
is
roster.
not trading for lesser defenders. Dyson Daniels coming back is the best defender in that trade. And I will put money on it. Dyson Daniels is a better defender today.
Trey Murphy is a solid defender as well.
He's really good. I think Dyson Daniels projects as the best defender by far in this.
For
and
sure.
Siakam right now, really, it's like a catch-22 because I know he can be much better on defense. I know he has all the capability, but the load that he's carrying on offense and he's going to continue carrying on offense is not allowing him to be a great defender for you right now. So I think like he's hurting you a lot on defense, a lot more than maybe the numbers show. But when you go and break down the film, how often this guy gets lost on a screen or is late to rotate, and I get it. He's resting on defense. He's playing rover. There's all these schemes that are meant to hide him and trigger him as a help defender in so many actions. But man, I'm telling you, like the blow-by stuff, like everyone being super critical of Fred and Scottie for blow-bys, watch Siakam. Yeah, okay. And I mean, in terms of trades, that's all I had for you guys. Those were the trades. Unfortunately, I don't think Leo agreed to any one of them.
No, I agreed to the Laker one for sure.
Okay.
This one's interesting, but if I'm again like I I value my depth, especially in an open Western Conference.
You got picks, man. You got picks. You got Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes makes $10 million. Package Jackson Hayes and a couple of picks and get all the depth in the world.
If you want this move, I want OG in this.
No,
this
stop asking for OG.
I want OG in this trade.
No, there's no way. I'm not giving up OG for shit because honestly, like I think OG fetches me your entire young core right now. I think OG would fetch me Trey plus Dyson easily. I mean, look, you hold on. You and I are high on Dyson.
You're getting my young core.
First of all, OG for Dyson was actually on the table. At the beginning of this season or like around the draft. Plus, you guys were going to throw in assets. So let's be real here. That's the deal we were looking at with Portland. Granted, like I can probably argue that. Look, I just think Herb Jones is still a part of your team. Going forward, he's a huge part of what you're doing. CJ McCollum still serviceable. Granted, having the shooting season from hell, but overall everything else still checks out for him. I think you just have a real chance at maximizing windows. I think front offices think in terms of maximizing windows. I really do. There's a reason. Look, let's be real. If you and I had this exact show in 2018 and I proposed Marc Gasol for Jonas Valanciunas and we looked at the stats and I told you I'm going to add a first round pick and I'm going to add DeLon Wright, most people would probably say I was freaking out of my mind, right? But why do I do that? Why do I give 3 young assets for one aging asset that I probably can't keep? That's overpaid to hell. That's declining off a cliff. Because I'm maximizing an asset. I'm maximizing Kawhi. And in terms of team building, you have to think that way. Right now, you don't know what Zion is going to be. But what I know right now is that New Orleans Pelicans have a top 15 player in the league for the first time. And what I know is the Cleveland Cavaliers have a top 15 player in the league for the first time in a long time. And I see both of these teams ascending to the top. And I see Pascal Siakam as their official Rasheed Wallace move, but way better. Like a guy who levels them up beyond. And OG could do that too. I just don't want to get rid of OG. And Fred could do that too for a lot of teams. I don't want to get rid of him. But the Raptors, if they are sellers, and in a lot of these trades they are sellers, I think they need to leverage another team's desperation for their own patience. Because you're not going anywhere unless Scottie Barnes can become a reliable shooter, until OG Anunoby can become a more fluid ball handler, until you address your center issue, until Fred VanVleet gets healthy. There's so many things that are wrong with this team right now that I feel like you're wasting a very good year from Siakam on a team that has no shot, right? And why not let him take a more natural fit for himself next to an actual superstar, or at least co-superstar a team with Zion. I mean, I don't think it's debatable between the two who's better, but some people could have that debate. I don't give a shit. I think Siakam whether Siakam or Zion is a better player.
Oh my God, who's having that debate?
I don't know. I'm sure there are some Raptor fans out there who probably think Siakam is a better player. And you know what? To them, I would say, hey, you are worried about Zion. Let me give you Zion insurance as well in this trade. I am also giving you a player who effectively does all the same shit that Zion does, just like differently. Rolling into the paint, scoring in the paint, passing, shooting, scoring, rebounding. It's being that sort of like ball dominant guy who can also like play make for others, dominant in the paint, so shooter. There's a lot of overlapping between those two as well, in my opinion. So I think you get injury insurance for Zion, you retain your depth, you get extra picks, and yeah, you're giving up 2 players that are probably going to be really good later. But you don't know if later means you don't have Zion anymore because he left or he's injured for 2 straight years. You don't know. Like with players of his body type, you might only have a 2-year window with this guy.
Right.
So that's, and you're so close right now. Like I would let you keep Jonas Valanciunas if you gave me Jackson Hayes and we removed a pick or something. And you could keep Jonas as well. I think you probably get better that way too.
Jonas. No,
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And for us, we just get a great guy, a great guy back who loved being here, and maybe doesn't fit our vision or your vision for how basketball should be played. But anyway, let's take a couple of calls, and then we're gonna go into the film session. Then we're gonna call it a night. I told you this video was not gonna go super long, but we're into hour 2 now. We're going into hour 3. So, Let me know in the comments. Would you guys appreciate a 2-minute break if we took one, just so Leo and I can? Do you need a break? You need like water or something? Would you appreciate that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna take a 2-minute break. We've never done one of these before. I don't know how this is gonna go, but we're gonna take a 2-minute break, and we're gonna see you guys right back, and then we're gonna do the film session. So I'm just gonna put it in the comments. BRB. I feel like a convenience store clerk. BRB in 2 minutes for
Just put the
video
intro in.
sesh. You think so?
Yeah, just put the intro for 2 minutes and have people like the video.
Oh, yes. You know, one thing I always forget to ask people to do is to like and subscribe. So if you haven't liked and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Lucky milestone for us. We just passed 4,500 subscribers, which was really awesome. But, you know, I had a target for 5,000 by year's end. And I know, unfortunately, we're not going to get there, but doesn't matter.
Well,
I want to get close. I want to get close.
Our target is 10,000. We're 200 away.
Absolutely. Okay, see you back in 2 minutes, and we're gonna, yeah. Okay. We're gonna be back in 2 minutes, guys. Okay. All right. BRB in 2 minutes for video session. Okay, I am back. Leo is not, and we're going to take a call because I apologize. MSJ, you've been waiting. I apologize for that. Hopefully you fixed your audio from last time.
I hope
MSJ,
so.
how you doing?
Have I? Oh, I'm good.
I hope so too.
Yeah. I think like I've already proposed the trade here in one of these chats. I don't know if they'll trade Fred VanVleet, but I think they will trade Gary Trent Jr. And I would like to see something like a pick coming back and
Okay.
some sort of veteran guard who can put up 10 points a game. So then you can have Barnes, the veteran guard. And I would like to draft somebody like Anthony Black I think he's from Arkansas. He's kind of a taller guard. And kind of roll with that next season, a 3-guard lineup of Barnes, maybe Anthony Black. And I put in Monty Morris, somebody along those lines. And keep Koloko, keep Siakam, keep OG.
You think this trade
and just
makes
kind
you,
of like
you think this
do a
makes you
mini
better?
rebuild.
You think this makes you better now or better in the future?
No, it doesn't make you better now. But I don't know if the Raptors are, how do I put this? I do like the 6'9" vision. I think Anthony Black is 6'8", but I just think that they need a veteran guard that will allow Scottie Barnes to take over, learn, and pair him up with a young guard in like I said, Anthony Black, who will play along with him. Because I just like we could talk about Fred VanVleet, and I don't really want to, but I think Gary Trent Jr. is the player that they trade if it goes down. What do you think of that?
I tend to agree. I just disagree with. Here's the thing. I think Gary Trent Jr. could fit. I have not been someone who's been overly high on Gary Trent Jr. for a plethora of reasons, but I think he's one of those guys who could fit a reasonable brand of basketball if he buys into his role as a scorer who does pretty much that for 25 minutes a night. I don't know if he wants that role, but he's been doing well in it. I don't think I blame him very much for what's been going wrong with this team over the last month.
No, I don't blame him either. But with trading Fred,
I just don't. I don't want to re-sign Fred.
Neither do I. But
that's just it. So if you hold on to him, you have to re-sign him, or you're letting him walk for nada.
I know,
right?
but the problem is the biggest problem with Fred is, like you keep saying, the myth of the bet on yourself stuff. And so the problem is, does any team really want to sign him to a max contract?
Look, he has fans. He has fans across the league, and there are some GMs out there who feel much better about him than I do. And I think they should be unemployed right now personally, but that's just my opinion. That there are numbers that you can look at, some very reliable numbers that would tell you that Fred VanVleet is probably a top 15 point guard in the NBA right now, that he's just not playing like it. And that, if he opts for surgery, that the type of player he is never really was that bursty, never really was that. If he just get a shot back, he's having a great season. If he makes one more three, like if he's, instead of shooting like 33% or whatever from three right now, he's shooting 38%. We're talking like he's probably like in soft contention for all-star status at 21 points per game or some crazy shit like that. So,
right.
And the Raptors are in a much better position, and we are talking about a completely different player. The optics of it, however, is as the losses pile up, all of the players on your roster, from Barnes all the way down to Anunoby to Siakam to Fred, they become less valuable to players, to teams around the league as well, and to fan bases. Looking at it, it's kind of the same way we might look at someone like LaMelo Ball versus Tyrese Halliburton. Swap the records, swap the narrative, right? Tyrese Halliburton right now, his 2K rating
is not a better player than.
I literally brought up Tyrese Halliburton to trigger a rant from Leo, which I'm not going to let him finish. I think, I think he is, but we can agree to disagree. But ultimately, the losing.
You think Siakam was a top 15 player?
I think if he's not, he's right on that. He's at 15 or 16.
So he came into the year at 20 at 30.
30. Who the hell had him at 30?
And then under him was
who had him at 30?
Brandon Ingram, ESPN.
ESPN's on crack. They like first.
Do you
of
think
all,
he's a better player than Drew Holiday?
Yes. By
Siakam, yeah, I would say
yes. And I'm a really big Drew Holiday
fan.
Fan.
Better basketball player?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think he's a better basketball player than Zach LaVine?
Oh yes.
Yes.
1000%. I honestly believe.
How could you ask that?
I think if the Raptors wanted to swap Siakam for LaVine right now, I think the Bulls would have to add every first round pick for the rest of their lives to make that deal happen. The gap between these two is not even close.
Do you think he's better than DeMar DeRozan?
Yes, easily. Siakam right now is better than any peak that DeRozan has even remotely touched. I encourage you to look at his analytics.
Yeah, I don't understand Siakam. Why don't you like him? He can score.
No, I love Siakam
everywhere. He can basically score from anywhere. Like Siakam in a few years could be slightly unguardable on offense.
He's not top 15 though. Like
maybe not top 15.
Do you really think about it when you if we make a list of players,
maybe 20.
Yes, he's more in the 20 range, but he's not a top 50 player in the league. Top 15 player in the league is special. Like
he is special
player.
He is special.
He's not though. He's not.
Come on.
He's the second best player on the championship. Special is like a superstar. Like he is.
Okay, there are 6 or 7 of those guys in the entire
an
NBA.
all-star.
But once you get past those guys, you have highly flawed players that are very, very good. Trae Young is not better than Siakam, in my opinion.
No. But can I just finish with this Fred VanVleet thing?
Yeah, he is.
I don't really want to go on about it because
he's better than Pascal Siakam. But go ahead.
But it's just that the trading of Fred VanVleet seems so sticky to me. It seems like even though it may help the team in some ways to get him off the team, I just don't see it happening for some reason. I just feel like management's in love with him. Maybe Nick Nurse is in love with him. I don't know.
I've heard that too. I've heard that
know.
from people who are very much in the know. And every time I tell these people that I want this guy to be traded, they say, well, so-and-so won't do it. So-and-so won't do it. This guy loves him. That guy loves him.
Yeah.
Dan Tolson
But he
loves
also
him.
has
Masai
the
loves
master
him.
plan. The other thing is Fred VanVleet has the master plan of the Raptors, whatever it is, in his head. And you can't, like, they may not just want to let him go.
Master
I
plan
just
is
hope
on
they don't
verge of
sign
like
him.
a
I just don't.
36-win season.
Yeah, I know, but like, I just hope they don't sign him to a max contract, because if they do, it's going to be like throwing an anchor overboard for the next whatever.
I think this team has internal thoughts. They are quick to adjust. They do. I mean, no, they're not quick to adjust. Unfortunately, they're very slow to adjust. But I do think that they understand who's who. Like when Kyle Lowry took the dip, like the dip happened. Ironically, people don't realize this, but if I pull up Kyle Lowry's stats, like if you looked at Basketball Reference and just looked at Kyle Lowry's entire career, right? Like I think I actually have some of those numbers, and we'll look at them after towards the tail end of the show if we have some time. But you see the dip.
Yeah.
And when that dip started happening, we stopped signing him to 2-3 year deals, and we started basically giving him like 1-and-1s or whatever we were giving him. We're giving him shorter term deals. It wasn't just to allow him maximum flexibility. It was also to allow us maximum flexibility in case he fell off a cliff the next year, because it's not always easy to understand or project how quick and steep that decline will be. What I will tell you is, with all undersized guards, that decline comes, and it comes fast. And with Lowry, because of his intelligence, because of his buy-in, he was able to sort of, I think his peak was 2016, 2017, to be honest. That was peak Lowry. Then there was like a second sort of like secondary step that he took down from that peak, which was pretty much through the championship year and then the year after. And then there was the decline, and that was Tampa. And whatever and ironically, the Raptors saw it, the analytics saw it, but Miami still gave him like crazy money. And they have signed themselves up. So it's like, why am I seeing shit why are the Raptors seeing shit that the Miami Heat are not? Apparently the Miami Heat are super smart, but they signed a guy in order to maximize a core of Bam, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Buckets, whatever. And they probably knew that they were overpaying a guy who wanted that big final payday, and they have not gotten what they paid for at all.
No. Well, let me just finish with this one thing, just to piss you off. I please, I beg the NBA gods that the Raptors do not bet on Fred VanVleet. That's it.
Why would that piss me off? Oh, because you said the word piss.
Yeah. Because I said bet on things. Bet on this, bet on that, bet on the Raptors, bet on Fred. I'm kind of sick of that terminology as well. So
yeah. All right.
It was good to talk to you guys, and have a good night.
Likewise.
Right,
have a good
Thanks
night.
for laying on. Bye.
Yep.
Okay, now let's pull up the video breakdown, and I believe this will be the final thing we do tonight. Maybe pour some champagne out for Justin Champagne. I don't know. I feel bad. I feel so sick to my stomach that I have the same feeling about letting go of Justin Champagne right now as I did when we let go of Yuta Watanabe. I really hope he catches on with another team and just beasts, because I just think he's a good dude. Anyway, alrighty, we got plays. So
on this first one, which was his first 2 points, we talk about the offensive scheme, right? And how they clear out literally, and how everyone's in line here. You see this line?
Can we go full screen on this?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, cool.
So this was by design, but this is just what I talk about when we talk about Siakam is just the featured guy, and they run so many of these. And yeah, he's going to score, but this isn't efficient basketball. Like, this is inefficient basketball at its finest. But we can run it back from the very beginning to see, and there's movement, right? There's down screen here. There's a dribble handoff here, which again, there's a pick and roll here that clears out this whole area for Siakam to go to
look
work.
at Jaren Jackson Jr. just kind of like gapping in the
Cheating.
middle,
Yeah.
leaving Scottie Barnes open in the corner, right? Ja Morant is not like, he's not hugging up. He's playing Juancho, and you've got Christian Coloco, right? Sort of sucking up that defender into the paint because he can't space out. How much easier does this offensive possession look for Siakam if Coloco comes out, pops out, if he actually had any gravity out there at all, right? And Scottie's a better shooter who can take shots and make shots, right?
Right. But this is what the Raptors want. By design, they wanted a mid-range shot that was highly contested.
Right.
And again, this is on Siakam and this is on the coaching staff. Mostly on the coaching staff, because as a basketball player, as a hooper myself, if my coach is saying, I am drawing up a play for you, what do you want me to say? No, coach? Like, no. Like, as a competitor,
Okay, but in fairness, I think like this entire play is completely different if Dylan Brooks does not have all that help behind him. He cannot hug up on Siakam, and Siakam could just drive, swivel,
right, so it's
twirl,
coaching.
all that shit
Yeah.
around him. Dylan Brooks is not like OG Anunoby. He's a really good defender, but he's not like he can't stay in front of Siakam. If Siakam wants to dust him, he would dust him. The problem is that you've got Steven Adams there, you've got Jaren Jackson there, you've got all your passing lanes blocked out, and you got no shooters. Like, that's a problem. Like, look how tight he's playing, and look at that. That's what I mean. And there's a second line of defense, and that's my problem with this entire offense. Whether whoever initiates it, whether it's Scottie, whether it's OG, whether it's Siakam, they're always seeing that second line of defense, and they're always having all their passing lanes cut out because players don't move. Look at the movement. Look at Steven
Right.
Adams right now, and look at Christian Coloco. You're playing 4-on-5, right?
The problem too here is that Scottie doesn't finish his 45 cut, which is supposed to end up for him in the corner, and Siakam moves too fast as well. So that's easy for a guy like Ja Morant to actually cheat because it's so congested in here that this is just bad offensive schematic. Like, this is terrible. And he just runs into a wall of guys because there's zero fucking spacing. I'm sorry, excuse my language, but this is just bad basketball. And you see this, like, that's not efficient basketball. Like, that's what they want you to do. And this is why I tear my hair off watching this, because this is just so bad, you know?
I agree.
Here we see, once again, as earlier, this is a little bit better because now we have a guy out as an outlet pass, which is OG, which is the right guy that you want to be stationary there. But it's a little bit, again, pound. Siakam is 18th in the league in usage rate. This is why. Because he pounds the ball a lot. I mean, goddamn. And that's the shot you get, right? Which, again, it's just so disappointing to just see this over and over.
Yeah,
and
like
over.
unless you shoot like 58 to 60% on those types of shots and you have a favorable matchup, like,
Which
you
he doesn't.
should not be relying on mid-range jumpers as a 2022 as a part of your offense. I think Siakam has watched probably a lot of Kobe and a lot of Stackhouse, and he's admitted so much that he doesn't watch a ton of NBA basketball today, and I think it shows.
But when I talk about you got to get into your bag, this is the most basic handle in the world. It doesn't get Dylan going backwards or sideways. He stays there because he knows that he has a back line of support, right? So he's forcing him, like, he wants him to shoot this shot. Like, that's the difference between, even guys like DeMar DeRozan, like Devin Booker, like Chris Paul, like, those guys create separation. There's no separation created here, like, at all. He's right there, and Siakam falls backwards. God diggity. All the time. Here we go. So we see a little pick and roll. So this is fine. This is a type of single side pick and roll, or to clear an entire side for him. I'm not mad at this, okay? Because now this gives them a live triple threat, right? With an entire single side, with an entire single empty side to attack. Now there's less clunk here. Now he has an avenue to attack, which he probably will without even watching this. See what I'm saying? So now he had the angle to attack. I'm not mad at that. Like, that's good play design. The other stuff where you have an entire back line to back you up, everyone's spread out. There's better spacing here. Like, this is better offense, but they don't typically do this. So, yeah, again, the process or the end result isn't great, but the process of it was fine. Here we go. Scottie Barnes again. Oh, Scottie's like, nah, I'm not doing that too fast.
Are we? We're Jeffed out in time. Okay, let's do one more Siakam possession, and then we go to hopefully some better offense because my eyes are bleeding.
Right. So once again, they clear out the side. Scottie recognized it, high basketball IQ. He said, "Okay, let me pass it back out and cut, or set a pick here."
Yeah, and that's I think, like, look, if there are some young hoopers who unfortunately are watching this team, and honestly, one of my biggest fears as I watch this team play is, oh my God, there's a 4-year-old learning how to play basketball by watching the NBA and watching the Raptors every night. When you pass, you get off, you move somewhere, do something, cut. After you pass, cut, V cut, set a screen. You gotta move. You can't just pass and stand there like an idiot. Like, and you definitely can't stand there at the top of the, doing that thing that Siakam and Trent like to do. You can't do that. Like, that's how you kill an offense. That's, I guess, like, that's Boucher made that.
No, that was Siakam.
Okay.
And again, Siakam in transition is solid, right?
Yes.
But
he's good.
Yes, but when the defense is set is when you see his limitations as a ball handler, as a guy that creates space, because he's not very good at that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, look at how the Memphis Grizzlies are guarding him. This is not the way we guard stars. They're guarding him one-on-one, basically. They just have the help defender behind him. Like, I wanna get around this myth that Siakam is double teamed all the time. He's not. There are some teams that just choose to play him straight up with a second defender there in emergencies. Guess what? That's kind of how you play all players.
Yes, and he's running into these guys. So if he was a player that created space and he sees all this is where you step back and you get, and again, guys like De'Aaron Fox, who right here would already shooken them off and gone to his left. And
okay, there's 14 seconds left on the clock. You know what I would rather Siakam do? Go back for a second. I just want to, I don't want to just shit on the guy. I want to explain what I wish he would do. Okay, right now, I would like him to pass to Chris Boucher. Okay?
Look at his hands are up. He's like,
yeah,
oh.
I would like him to pass to Chris Boucher. Then I want him to go and set a screen on Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yep.
Let Scottie Barnes float up to the top and dive to the basket and pray Boucher finds me. That is what good offense should look like, not what's happening here. And is there a chance that Boucher is just going to launch the shot? Sure. But trust me, that shot that Boucher would launch from the corner is probably a better shot than this.
Yes. Great point there. It's tough. Okay. But this is what the Raptors do. So here we see actual action, right?
Look at Malachi, trying his best to set a pick, and then OG's going to set a pick here, double pick, just misses it.
He just ignores everything. look at
Gary Trent Jr. I did all of that.
Okay, let me see. Let's start with the video. This is good basketball if he would have passed it. So we see weak side action here, a double stagger screen to get a Gary on a curl coming up, and he says, "No, I'm gonna wave you off, and I'm going into another guy."
but in fairness, what Gary did actually did plow the middle for him, right? In a lot of ways, he just snowplowed it because he draws all that attention. And you know what? Even though it didn't work out for Gary, if Gary ever sees this, please keep doing this, because this actually does help your offense. Because look at how much more open that paint looks right now, because Gary and OG. Now look at this. Now I want to point to something. Look at Malachi and OG right now.
Yep.
Have you ever seen that shit ever in your life? Two guys spotting up in the same corner. It is so rare to do that. And your two best shooters on the court.
Well, again, that's because Siakam went a little bit too fast and it didn't give them time to actually, come here. So this was designed for Gary.
Yeah, this should have been a dribble handoff for Gary and dive to the basket for Siakam. And Gary either passes to Siakam or he goes here. or he rejects it. He goes himself and then spots and then finds someone spotting to the corner.
Right.
Like, I think there's so many interesting ways that you could use these players, that to continuously use them this stupid way, it's almost like, are you tanking on purpose?
3 guys, right?
Oh
3 guys in line here.
Yeah.
He finally passes out, and great kudos to Gary that uses gravity, his shooting gravity here, to actually pass it back out, because they know his tendencies are to shoot the ball.
But
so
I think it's great that he passed, but he shouldn't have passed there. I would have liked to see him drive and then kick. I would have liked to see him drive, attack, and then kick. He kind of danced around and just sort of wasted time there. And honestly, Siakam, like, go back on that for a sec. There's a much better option right now than Siakam taking that shot.
Okay.
Right? That's OG in the corner. And if this is Scottie right now, this pass is going right over Ja Morant's head.
Right. So Scottie would have attacked a little bit, stopped here, and then
passed to OG in the corner, and then allowed for OG to swing back to Pascal. So now look, guys, when you have high IQ basketball players, if this was Sacramento Kings 2003, Chris Webber, Vlade Divac, super smart players, right? Mike Bibby. Or if this was currently the Golden State Warriors, or basically any team that functions at a high level of basketball IQ, here's how this play should have broken down for me. Number one, as you go back, so Gary Trent Jr. catches the ball. On the catch, no hesitation, drive. Okay? Drive, suck in Dylan Brooks. Then you either pass out to OG, who fakes the shot and passes to a wide open Siakam, or if that angle is cut off, you pass to Siakam, who then quickly swings it back to OG, or if that pass is gone, then Siakam would reverse it and sort of do a ball reversal and find Malachi in the corner. There's a way better shot at the end of that chart of passes than Pascal passes to Gary. Gary dances in the same spot for 2 seconds, passes back to Pascal. There's a reason he's open, guys. It's the same reason that Boucher is open. They want him taking threes.
So this is good play design as well, which again clears it out, gives him better spacing to attack Dylan Brooks. Nothing fancy, just puts his head down, creates space with his football mentality, and he just pulls up, uses a 6'9" frame, and he gets it. Like, that's good play design by the Raptors there. See, those shots I'm not mad at. Like, that's within the flow of the offense. Here we go, and this is not within the flow. That's bad basketball. Again, he gets a little bit overzealous at times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where so this was supposed to be a dribble handoff, and OG, I don't know who rejected this, but look how they're playing him though. Like, they know what's coming, and this is Bane at this time. He drives, great defense, and you got a guy waiting for him, which is Steve-O, and that's a great contest. So, yeah, this is just bad, stagnant basketball. Here we go again. No movement. I'm sorry, bro. He's not a top 15 player. Like, this is not what top 15 players do. No,
he's borderline, man. He is borderline. Look at all the players around him. Kem Birch right there can't make a layup to save his freaking life. Unfortunately, right now, he's just falling off a cliff. He's playing, like, in the worst system ever. Look, I guarantee you, if I coach this team tomorrow, Siakam's better. Like, that's just me being totally an asshole.
He missed him, though. I mean, this is top 15 players make this pass right here. Scottie, and you know this. Scottie Barnes make this pass with his eyes closed.
I know that. I know that. But also Scottie, like, I mean, Pascal's played with Kem enough to know that somehow Kem would screw that up too. So yeah,
But either way, that's not his problem no more. It's about making the right basketball play, right?
I agree. There's a lack of trust here. I'll agree with that. Yep.
Okay, so let me see what Siakam does. Siakam, I get it. The offense is shit, but this is also his choice is just keep just going into traffic. Like, he doesn't care.
He watched Allen Iverson highlights to like really, really get himself charged up before every game.
Let me see. Yeah, there's.
Oh my
Jesus.
god, that is just.
That's a bailout, but let me see.
Yeah,
This
he
is-
gets bailed out a lot to his.
in
and
transition.
Look at OG
That's straight
trailing.
up, too.
Look at OG trailing. Look at Malachi in the corner,
Look at
wide
poor
open.
Gary. Gary's like, please, we're shooting buddies. And he's like,
Dude, I think the obvious play right here is if
Malachi.
Siakam had any the obvious play to me would be back to OG
Or
and then
back,
OG
yeah.
to Al and then OG to
But
Malachi.
it's not a bad play to go to Malachi here either. To like kick out to him. Like
I
if we-
think the
if we go
angle
back.
is a little bit weird because he drove left.
Yeah.
Had he driven right? Yes. But right now there's like three, like John Morant long as hell, Steven Adams, like there's a lot of length there. That could be a disrupted pass, and it could also be an off-target pass. And I don't like passing to corner shooters when they're wide open if the pass isn't clean. Do you know what I mean? They have to catch it and shoot it like right away. I don't want them gathering and trying to reach for it awkwardly. You'll
But
often see that.
But at this point, there's 20 seconds left on the clock, and he's going way too fast.
He
I
always
get it.
goes too fast.
I get it. They're down 21 points, and he's trying to hero himself into this.
Yeah.
But this is just bad basketball.
I really think the obvious play here is OG. I really do. And then let OG make the pass or OG, like, because it's like when you suck in that much defensive
Jesus
attention, you need to
Christ.
get off of it. You need to exploit that.
21. He doesn't look at anybody. Like pass it here to Scottie. Scottie kicks out to OG, or he just goes up for a layup. But Siakam is like, nope, I'm going between five guys. Again, I don't care about the result. Like he made the shot,
I don't either.
but that doesn't matter. That doesn't mean it was a good, efficient shot. This is a terrible possession.
And teams know this about him,
Yes.
right? They know he's going to do this every single night, so they play him for it, and they don't play the shooters. But I guarantee you, if that was Jokic, or and ironically, this is kind of like basketball karma. You think about it, right? It is a lot like karma,
at
because
this.
right now they're not playing you for the pass because they know that when you get into this mode, you're never going to pass, and that's what the scouting report says. So you don't make the right basketball plays. They play you to score all the time. Now your scoring efficiency goes down because you're not a threat to pass in certain situations. I think this is just the basketball god saying, if you're going to play like a dumbass, we're going to guard you like a dumbass. I think that's just how it kind of plays out. Can we please go to the Doughton possessions in the fourth quarter where like
Sorry,
I can't watch any more of this. Like it's just the same single play over and
one more,
over
one
and
more.
no.
Oh, this is the 6. This is when he came back, right?
Do you know that's okay? Any cinephiles out there? Leo, you're a film director, right? So like,
Yeah.
you watch Clockwork Orange?
I haven't now.
They force him to watch that shit with his eyes closed in that machine, and I'm just like, that's how it feels like right now. This is what it feels like. This feels like Clockwork Orange, like I'm being subjected to the worst basketball.
Oh my god! Like he did this shit all. Look, there's 3 guys now, but he doesn't even care to kick it out to Scottie, bro. What are you doing? And Scottie's like, why even give? You know what I'm saying? Like this disrupts chemistry. Like so when I read on our Facebook groups on the Raptors groups, there's something wrong with this team. This is a lot to do with that something wrong because teammates hate this shit. I don't care who you are. This
Agreed.
is not good basketball. This disrupts chemistry. This rubs guys off the wrong way because they bust their ass to get a stop. And you have a one-man hero trying to literally will his team back when he's not that good and that skill to actually do that. Like, he's not that explosive. He's long.
I don't even care if he was good enough to do it. It's such a lack of trust in your teammates to do this. And I've never seen Luka play like this. I see Luka take a lot of tough shots, but they're good shots. Like, Luka's shot diet is freaking awesome.
And Luka would have bam, like to Scottie right here, like some crazy ass shit.
Easy. And that's why the Mavericks offense works, and that's why this offense doesn't. It's just because he doesn't.
Because he's not. Again, bro, I hate to. Again, if we just think about just the top 10 players, right, and then there's like 5 guys that can be in the top 10. This guy isn't for me.
No, and nor should he be. I mean, he's firmly ahead of guys like Bradley Beal, Trae Young, in my opinion. I mean, you can say offensively, Trae Young gives you a lot more, but I think the two-way package, he's kind of in the Jaylen Brown conversation, like, and
Jaylen Brown's better than him. Jaylen Brown's better than him.
I feel like if the Raptors swapped Jaylen Brown for Pascal Siakam, they'd be in the exact same space right now. And Jaylen Brown will be putting up the exact same numbers. I don't think Jaylen Brown can go 1-on-5 the way Siakam does every night and put up 40, 50 points. Like, I just don't. Trust me, I've seen he has a lot of the same weaknesses. He's just a lot smaller.
This is just bad. Like, all he's doing, he's bumping into him. There's no moves. There's no grace whatsoever to come back and shift, change speeds. Like, guys that live.
But where is he supposed to? Okay, like right now, what is the biggest issue right now? To me, the biggest issue is Scottie Barnes. Has Steven Adams there.
Right, like that. Okay, so we're saying two different things. The right play is to kick it out or pass it. But if you're going to do this shit, which he did all game, okay.
But why is Scottie posting there? Like, are you gonna post? Like, okay, Scottie posting John Morant when they missed him. Yeah, I was mad too.
Right, me too.
But posting up Steven Adams, why? He's one of the best post defenders in the NBA, and he's way bigger than you, and he's stronger than you, and taller than you. You have no advantages there. I do not understand if Scottie Barnes is as smart as I think he is. I don't understand why he would ever post up Steven Adams. It just doesn't make sense. I know he could do. He did it to Zubats, and that Zubats is a different animal. And maybe this is youth and inexperience, and the next time he sees Steven Adams, he's going to attack him differently, because that's sort of how being young in the NBA works. You see, especially guys when you're seeing them in the West. But
so, to be fair, to give context to what you said about Scottie was cutting to the basket because John Morant's head was turned. So that happened, right? Then he wants to post, but Siakam doesn't even see that he's there, and that's part of the problem. To where he don't know that he's posting, and he just goes, right? Like, he goes already, makes that move, and it's too late. It's just too late. And, you know,
as you say that, I think I know why Scottie was posting. I think he was posting to pass.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously,
I think he was posting to attack Adams, get a sliver of leverage through quickness, and then immediately pass out, because the minute, like, a player like Siakam right now has all the gravity in his hands, which is the ball. The minute he passes to Scottie,
but he's
Dylan
not
Brooks is going to
Scottie.
Like, I know, but he should be.
He makes this right, but like he makes this move before he even sees Scottie, and by the time he sees Scottie, he's at the fucking rim, and there's a 7-footer waiting for him. Which, again, Luka would have just behind the pass, bounce past it for a dunk, but he don't have that in his game.
I think, yeah, exactly, and I think, like, Scottie does the right thing of sort of getting out of the way, but it's a little bit too late, and it's weird because
but that's because Siakam went too early, though.
If that feels like a very recurring theme in all of these plays. It seems like you've said that at least 5 times, and I agree with you every single time. He's agreed.
Sorry, the proper term is he's playing sped up. The Memphis Grizzlies sped his ass up, and that's what they wanted to do, because when he's sped up, he doesn't make good decision. When he's playing within the flow of the offense, you see a better version, which we've seen.
Pressing.
Which we've seen of a guy like Siakam, right? Like, he's better than this.
Yeah, he is. I think we have lost Leo for a minute, and that probably is his camera. We will re-add him. Let's look at some of your He's still Leo. We lost your camera. So we're just gonna look at some comments here while Leo figures out his camera. How are you guys feeling? We're gonna look, and right now, I promise the bleeding eyes will stop right now. We're gonna stop looking at Siakam possessions, and we're going to look at that little run that the Raptors put together in the early fourth, and how beautifully the ball moved and hummed around with Doughton and with Boucher and even with Malachi and Gary Trent Jr. And yeah, I think that will be a perfect send-off for the night. It'll be just a lot easier to hopefully sleep after watching that footage. But we're just going to wait for Leo to get back. Alfred Wong asks, looking forward to any draft prospects? There are a few, and as the Raptors' losses continue to pile up, I promise you we will get into draft prospects and shows and all that stuff, best fits for the Raptors. I wasn't really engaged with this channel last year, so I wasn't able to do that stuff. But this year I will be. So I'll be able to, do draft breakdowns, and obviously every fan base that's on the outside looking in, especially if we make a big trade to get younger and or move off a big money player, the writing will pretty much be on the wall for what we are trying to do or what we're trying to achieve. So, but yeah, I hate to sound like a casual, but I'm amazed by Wembanyama so far. There are a couple of other players, obviously, in the, I want to say, late lottery that have Raptor written all over them, and I would be very, very interested to see whether or not those players rise and fall. But this is a little bit early for draft prognostication because a lot of these players are playing high-level NCAA basketball for the first time, and we're just very, very new to them right now. So let's see where we are in let's say February. I think I'll be a little bit clearer, because last year there were a lot of prospects that I really liked because they got off to like a really hot second week, and then I was kind of sour on them at the end. So I don't want to introduce too much of an anchoring bias among this fan base to be like, oh, I heard Rob talk about this guy in December, and that's the guy we're gonna draft. So we'll get into it.
It's way too early for that. It's way too early.
Jared Osei says Wembanyama's height worries me. Honestly, it doesn't worry me as much as it typically would. I know that I've seen a lot of Zach Edey comments in the his height worries me. But the thing with Wembanyama is like the way he moves, like the way his body's structured, he doesn't worry me at all. I don't think his injury risk is any greater than if he was 6'11" or 7 feet tall. Usually guys who are 7'3", 7'4", they suffer from a lot of lower body issues because of their weight and because of how their bodies sort of move. There's a very awkward, clunky way. Even if you watch like really good athletes like Yao Ming move around, there seemed to be like a sort of heaviness in how they moved. And I think when you get that big, just sort of the weight of being 300 pounds, Shaq, wasn't taller than 7'2", but he also had a lot of lower body issues as well. It's weight. Zion is 6'5", 6'6". He has a lot of lower body issues. So, yeah.
All right.
Somebody says been watching too much Jimmy. Jimmy High Roller. Yeah, Jimmy was very worried about Wembanyama's height, being an injury issue, and I just don't see it personally. I'll be happy to be proven wrong. I mean, obviously, Chet Holmgren is an example of a really tall guy who has now had a freak accident with his foot, but I don't think he's going to be injury prone for his career.
Yeah. Let's watch the last part of this so we can end this. We're almost 3 hours in, but
yeah, are we going to the good part? Please tell me.
Yes, Mr.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
Let me see.
Okay, plug it into my veins.
He said, "Uh-oh, cookies." Here we go.
And I like how the guy fell.
No foul? They didn't call a foul?
Hey, two-way player, don't get fouls.
That's true. Let me see.
But that is damn he could have sold the contact more, but look, that great.
If De'Aaron Fox don't get that call, this guy ain't gonna get in that call. You're right. Let me see. Where is he at? Uh-oh, here we go. Junior. That was slick.
Are you just looking at all the Doughton possessions?
Yeah.
Okay, is there a way for us to see the early fourth quarter where we have
I
this
think this is
fast break with Doughton and Barnes? It'll probably count as a, I don't know. I know how NBA.com breaks it down, but
here. Is it this one?
nope.
No, it's not this one. Let
No.
me see.
It would be
An assist
early
for
fourth quarter. It'll probably be like 8 minutes.
was it an assist for Scottie?
They got fouled.
So let me see. How would it break down as a
Can you look at Malachi's threes? There's definitely a possession there. I mean, I would look at the game breakdown and I can tell you exact plays. Bear with us, guys.
you want Malachi's 3 attempts?
There's one that he made for sure in that stretch. Hang on, I'm gonna look
Okay,
at
let me see. I got it.
Raptors period 4. Go look period 4 and 8:39. There you go. There's one of them.
Let's see.
Beautiful. Here we
Okay.
go. Okay.
Oh, yeah, this is the play where I text you like this is chaos. I said. This is like the latter end of it though. Like there was like a few seconds before that where it got wild.
It did
Like,
get wild, but
that,
look
like,
at
led to
the
this.
willingness to pass here.
You're right.
Boucher and Barnes. First it was Malachi, then it was Boucher, then it was Barnes. They're all on the ground. They all get up, and you know, Doughton does the thing that I've been asking everyone to do, which is attack. He attacks. He collapses the defender, forces Brandon Clark, and he finds a wide open Malachi Flynn. That's a clean basket. If Malachi just hits the shot, and then Scottie Barnes obviously just picks up an offensive rebound. Okay, Scottie Barnes had 8 points in the fourth quarter. Can we look at those? I guarantee you, like a lot of them came in the early part of the fourth.
Let's see. Scottie Barnes. Made field goal. Let's go to the made. Okay.
Is there a way to see all of them broken down the way Malachi's were? Go down.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay, fourth quarter, 9:18. There we go.
Okay, dribble handoff. Good roll, Scottie. Good roll, Scottie. See, guys who roll get rewarded. Great stuff by Malachi.
In an ideal
there.
world, they do.
Yeah, well, unless you play on the Raptors. But oh yeah, this is what we just watched. Right, Scottie gets a put back. 8 minutes left. They're down by 11. This point, they're down by 12. This is when he already went back into the game, I think.
No, that's Boucher still.
Oh yeah, it's Boucher still. Good roll, Scottie. Good roll, Scottie. See, guys who roll get rewarded. Good job, Scottie. Let me see. He missed the easy pass there. Swings it back
Jaren
to
Jackson Jr.
Clark.
probably had a lot to do with that. I don't think he really missed it. He just tried to throw it and he couldn't. And
Oof.
you know, he
That's-
puts body into Steven Adams. I wish he'd done that more tonight. He could attack him. He got the step on him, and you know, that's how, you know, ascending stars should be attacking Steven Adams.
Right. You got to make the Grizzlies pay for having a slow center out there.
Yeah.
So that was Scottie Barnes, y'all. That was Scottie Barnes.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I think maybe there's a fuller context here of just how the Raptors played when Siakam wasn't sucking up so much of the offense. And I think, you know, in terms of heliocentrism, I realize this is not prototypically like or like by the definition heliocentrism, like how Trae Young and Luka play is a little bit different than how Siakam's playing right now. But to dominate this many possessions, you do have a responsibility to your teammates to, you know, create and generate very efficient shots. And I don't think Siakam generates necessarily the greatest shots for his teammates. And, you know, people like Will Liu and people who cover this team are going to tell you he's the only reason this offense hasn't fallen off a cliff. And I would tell you that when he's not on the court, when he's not playing, when he's out for 9-10 games, you often see that those reps, are replaced by effectively other players. And the Raptors are probably a little bit worse off for it, but you would expect to be worse without a player this good. What I think is that there's a middle ground here where there's a very good player here in Pascal Siakam, very good player, top 20, unarguably, in my opinion, top 20 player, who could be used in a far more dynamic, efficient, and unpredictable way for your offense to thrive better. If you're gonna, if you're gonna build this type of team, you need a better player. To be honest, the point blank. If you're gonna play like you have Luka, you better have someone really damn close to Luka, and this isn't it. And to charge a guy to make this many decisions, and of course, Nick Nurse is going to say this is assertiveness, this is aggressiveness, this is what we want, and it's like, yeah, but now you're not activating the rest of your offense, and this is not how basketball works. But you know how this does look like? This looks a lot like those Rico Hines runs, doesn't it?
Yes, a lot.
And that's the problem. Yeah. And that's the problem, because at the end of the day, this is how those Rico Hines runs worked, but that is not like how actual basketball NBA at the NBA level, or even if I saw Florida State, the Seminoles, play like this, I would be disturbed at what the hell is Leonard Hamilton doing in Florida State. This is not an NBA offense. This is not a college offense. I would be surprised to see this type of offense being run in JUCO ball, to be honest. This is bad. This is community college, YMCA. We have one guy. You have no way to stop him, except the other team does have a way to stop him. Clear out, let him go to work. This is, oh my God, this is everything I hated about early 2000s basketball. And by the way, guys, this is why scoring was so low in the early 2000s, because teams played like this. The teams don't play like this anymore. And when you bump into teams like Boston, Milwaukee, you bump into teams that play a better, more evolved style of basketball, you lose 8 out of 10 times. And when you work out the odds of how many teams are better than us right now, losing 8 out of 10 times means it's a lottery season. And I mean, so.
You know what's funny? And I'm not going to blame Rico, because Rico's a friend of mine, but you say that with a grain of salt, right? Like, they're playing like the Rico Hine runs. And then last year, the Kings were playing the exact same way. He moves on to Toronto, and now we're playing a completely different way. Like, I don't want to start any, like, 'cause again, Rico's a friend of mine, but geez, like, that's crazy to think about.
Well, Rico Hines is one of the biggest influences on Pascal Siakam, and I can tell you from knowing a few NBA players how much their trainers mean to them. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, let's say I know player Y. Well, after a game where he shoots poorly, he's going to text his trainer and say, what are we working on tomorrow? And they'll go through the film session in addition to what the team is going to do with them in the general film session, where maybe the whole team concepts are being, and coaches are sometimes very hesitant to be like, this was your fault in team sessions. They're going to sugarcoat it because it's a group environment.
Yes.
And you're not going to be like, Gary, you're a shit defender. So if anyone's ever wondered what those film sessions in an NBA circle look like, trust me, there's a lot of kid gloves on. There's a lot of egos, and these private conversations, they happen in some organizations, but not all organizations. And so it's very possible that as Rudy Gay was disrupting and ruining our offense for all those months, that he literally heard nothing about it from the coaches, probably nothing about it in film sessions. And trainers, though, they do have a one-on-one relationship with the player. They will go and break down their plays. Tim Grover, trainer for Kobe Bryant, was Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. He did a lot of work with them. He would chart out all their steps and stuff. So I know player X has a trainer. After a bad game where he shoots poorly, he's going to go to that trainer and be like, give me my shot chart. What do I need to work on? How do I need to attack this type of coverage the next time I see it? And all this stuff is going to be there. If you have a trainer like Rico Hines, and I don't know Rico Hines. I've never met Rico Hines. He's Leo's friend because he was in Sacramento for a while. So this is not me throwing shade on Rico Hines. I think he's a hell of a person, and I have been a long advocate for him and Earl Watson as genuinely like really great men who care about the men that they're coaching. Just to put that out there, just from the vibe that I've gathered. However, if you have a certain philosophy of basketball and you are now telling the players that you're training and now coaching about assertiveness and aggressiveness, etc., and you have this type of charm and charisma that Rico does, then that message may drown out other messages. That's how I see it. I don't know how fair you think that is, Leo, but like they may go to Rico when Nick Nurse or Earl Watson or somebody else, and they may see him as a more credible guy. He also got a head start on them. They may see him as the good guy, whereas Nick Nurse is the bad guy. And this dynamic can exist in coaching staffs. I know that Nick Nurse had a similar relationship. Some would probably say that's a hot take right now, but when he was kind of coaching the bench mob up and Dwayne Casey was coaching the main squad, like I'm sure that they had their disagreements as well, because those two squads, the first unit and second unit, played so differently.
Nick, he was the associate coach, right? Or was he like the offensive coordinator? Or
he was the assistant coach, and I believe he was the offensive coordinator. I think so.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's super interesting that he brought in somebody else to run the offense when.
Yeah, and I mean, like he's done it. He's done it really well. I mean, he's always been like he swaps roles with his assistants. I don't know how out there that is, but he will actually go to Adrian Griffin and be like, okay, well, you're handling this, and Scariolo, who was on the staff,
coaches there's coaches like that.
And they're trying to empower and grow the coaches underneath them. And if I had a blossoming coach like Earl Watson on my bench, I would be trying to grow him too. But at the end of the day, I think that the runs maybe have done more harm than good in for a lot of players. Look, I've always felt like a lot of that shit that we used to do when we would play pickup ball on the streets, it was ISO, one-on-one, go attack your man, attack the mismatch. Guy scores on you, you got to score back on him. A lot of the habits that I see the Raptors play with, they remind me of the way we used to play on the pickup. We used to play pickup ball, and what would drive our coaches insane in high school and on the university level would be like when you start playing like that in structured basketball, because structured basketball and organized offenses and whatever are designed to basically scheme that shit out. You can't play like that at the NBA level, NCAA, whatever. So that's sort of, my thing. I don't want to make Rico
I've noticed that with guys like De'Aaron Fox this year, where last year he had the green light to do what Siakam was doing, going into traffic. This year,
that's why he was so frustrating to me. Like I would watch him, and he would be like, "I'm like, Leo's telling me this guy's super smart, but he's playing like a complete dumbass."
He's 32nd in usage rate, and do you want to guess where Sabonis is at?
Right now,
usage? Yeah,
45th,
145th.
That's amazing.
The lowest usage rate of his career and having his best career by far. There's no coincidence, y'all. Good offensive schemes maximize players. And right now, again, half of it is Nick and his staff, and the other half is Siakam taking that responsibility. But I blame mostly the coach. Like, if there's a bigger blame, I'm going to blame the coaching staff, because it's evident that I've witnessed bad coaching for a long time, and now we finally get a guy that learned from the Golden State, era, and even he came in with the reputation of what? He's a great defensive coach, but he can't coach offense. Like, Mike's never been able to coach offense. Guess what? He was 7 years with Golden State, and he learned a thing or two. So I think it's important.
No, I completely agree. And honestly, like, I remember listening to, there's certain coaches that just really inspire me in terms of how they think about the game. Nick Nurse has been one of them in the past. Ime Udoka was one of them. But Steve Kerr especially, like, his offensive principles and how he sort of teaches offense is so cool and so illuminating to anyone who's ever listened to a lecture from him. I don't know if they're available on YouTube or whatever. I attended one in person once with him, and it was just like so incredible to hear how he thinks about pace and space, how he thinks about offense. To anyone who's curious about one of the original architects of movement, motion, threes, and pace, think about Mike D'Antoni. He did a one-on-one interview with Ben Taylor, and I know that people often clown Mike D'Antoni
He's
but he's a
amazing.
genius when it comes to
He's a
basketball and
basketball
motion. And
genius.
so, like, people say, well, it didn't work for him, and it's like, well, it doesn't work for 29 teams every single year, but he's
You know what? Fuck that. He ran into arguably the best team in the last 25 years, and he was a game away
and this
from
is why
beating that team without with Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't come on with Mike. All respect to Mike, man. Like, Mike is
seriously,
amazing.
and I mean, like, and if success is influence in so many ways, think about guys like Allen Iverson and Vince Carter and how much they've influenced the league, even though they never won championships. I think of Mike D'Antoni, and I see his blueprints into everything we do today in basketball. The threes, the aggressive, pace, and all that stuff. Look at how the Celtics are playing, how the Kings are playing, and you can trace so many of those principles back to the 7 seconds or 7 seconds or less Suns. So, anyways, this was a little bit of a cool way to end the show. For those of you who stuck with us, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much to Leo for coming on. Go give Basketball Zone a follow. They are really, really close to 10,000 subs. And it's always a pleasure to have Leo on. I told him it would be under 2 hours. Somehow
Am I married? Am I married? Yes, happily married. And my son turned 5 months today. I'm just so blessed.
Who asked if you're married?
PM.
We're getting thirsty comments here. How come I didn't get no thirsty comments? It's because I don't smile enough. That's what people say.
Man,
They're like, oh man, this guy never smiles. Man, you watch this shit. Like, you want to know why I don't smile? Because I watch this shit, and that shit that Leo and I just did, I do that by myself, and then I go do that for 3 hours. You would lose any notion of smiling if you watch this offense for an entire offseason.
I was not smiling the last 16 years, y'all. I can tell you that. I was just like Rob.
Alex, he says Rick Adelman too. I completely concur. Rick Adelman's awesome as well. So good night all, and KR says I'll go F myself. That's hilarious. Okay, y'all are so awesome. Thank you for sticking with us till 1:24 a.m. To break down a game that honestly could have been broken down in 13 words or less.
Yeah.
Probably. Tough loss. Raptors face a Devin Booker-less Suns tomorrow.
Next.
And tomorrow, back to back, which is why they pulled the plug on this game with 2 minutes to go.
At home?
Yeah. It's a home and home.
Well, I hope you guys beat the shit out of the Suns, because we need y'all to beat the Suns for us. So
there we go. We need to do Leo and his Kings a favor, because they have slipped a little bit in the last month. All right, man. Take care. Have a good night. Thanks as always for coming on. And again, to anyone out there, please subscribe to Leo's channel. Please subscribe to this channel. I would really appreciate it. And once these videos are up, please give them both a like. On Basketball Zone, this video streamed on both channels. So you can give it a like over there, give it a comment over there, give it a like over here, and we will consider us square. For 3 hours we devote for you, 13 seconds you devote for us. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great one. Peace.
Peace.